Chapter 260. 16 days later, in a large swamp. Boom! Suddenly, there was an earth-shattering explosion. A hill in the swamp suddenly collapsed, and the ground within a radius of several feet suddenly caved in. Huge boulders fell toward the caved-in area. Dust flew and the earth cracked. A slender figure sat cross-legged in the center of the caved-in area. His eyes were closed, and his body was emitting a layer of silver flames. This kind of flame was emitted from the 48,000 pores of this figure. It was like silver frost and white lightning. From inside to outside, this figure was wrapped around. Occasionally, a trace of silver lightning would burst out. Wherever it passed, it seemed to be able to return all matter to its original source, turning it into the purest chaotic yuan qi. Rumble! The earth trembled. At this moment, a huge boulder weighing thousands of kilograms fell from the caved-in area above his head. This figure suddenly opened his eyes. The next moment, like a silver blade, he soared into the sky. Unparalleled silver light flashed, and in an instant, the huge boulder above his head was shattered. Rumble! The sky was filled with rubble. A black figure flashed and appeared above the ruins. Qin Feng opened his eyes, and there was a trace of joy in his eyes. At this moment, his aura was surging. Compared to 15 days ago, his aura was more than several times stronger. Every inch of his skin that was exposed to the air was shining with an indescribable luster. Every inch and every part of his flesh seemed to be polished by vitality. His black hair fell from his shoulders. Each strand was crystal clear, containing a trace of terrifying aura. A strand of black hair could break a divine weapon. An ethereal and elegant aura was revealed, making him look indescribably handsome. Qin Feng closed his eyes and slowly withdrew his aura. The aura on his body that was different from others suddenly dissipated. Dressed in a black robe, his black hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes were delicate and handsome. When he opened them, an extremely sharp silver light seemed to be able to shatter the void. Zhang Xian raised his hand, and with a slight movement of his hand, an explosion sounded in the air. His figure flashed, bringing along a sonic boom. His figure was like a bolt of silver lightning, cutting through the air like a sharp blade. If one used their vision to its fullest, they would be able to see the air being split into two by this figure that was so fast that it was indescribable. At this moment, the strength of Qin Feng's physique was not inferior to some spirit swords. His strength was comparable to that of a ferocious beast from the savage wilderness, not in the least inferior to any top-notch savage beast. An earth-shattering change had taken place in his body. The Eight Desolation Immortal Mysterious Art is indeed mysterious. Although I've only cultivated the first level of the Eight Desolation Immortal Mysterious Art, the strength of my body has already reached an unimaginable level. My bones, meridians, internal organs, and even my skin have all been tempered to the extreme. With a cold glint in his eyes, Qin Feng raised his hand. His palm was like a sword, slicing through the void. His 5 fingers formed a fist and punched out. A reef dozens of feet away instantly shattered. Qin Feng's eyes were filled with excitement. He lowered his head to look at the red lotus in his palm and frowned again. At this moment, the huge amount of pure profound qi in the red lotus mark had been completely consumed. Recalling the process of cultivating the Eight Desolation Immortal Mysterious Art, Qin Feng's face changed. The process of his bones, blood, meridians being melted countless times and being reborn made Qin Feng's heart palpitate. Calming his mind, Qin Feng looked inside his body. At this moment, in his dantian, there seemed to be a furnace. Layers of silver-white flames were burning fiercely like snow. The supreme profound qi fire. This flame burned with the blood and qi in his body as copper charcoal and contained the power of creation of heaven and earth. In the center of his dantian, a small silver-white ball was like a divine fetus of heaven and earth. It had 9 orifices and 8 holes and contained endless mysteries. This was the seed of heaven and earth that Qin Feng had nurtured. This seed of heaven and earth was surrounded by a layer of blood-red ferocious aura, which contained killing, ferocious, misfortune, disaster, and other strange auras. It was very similar to Qin Feng's natal star, the fallen god star. The seed of heaven and earth contained a martial artist's path of origin. According to common sense, Qin Feng should have nurtured a water-attributed seed of heaven and earth. He walked the path of the water element's origin. But in fact, when he was in seclusion to comprehend the important light card of tempering the seed of heaven and earth, the natal star mark in his mind began to act strangely. At the critical moment, the natal star mark turned into a silver light and forcibly merged with the seed of heaven and earth. In the end, it became a shining silver seed of heaven and earth that was surrounded by an ominous bloody aura. This was more like the path of the star's origin. This star-attributed seed of heaven and earth exuded a sense of disaster, misfortune, slaughter, and all kinds of terrifying auras. But Qin Feng could feel that the water-attributed power in his body had not disappeared, but had instead merged with this aura. Moreover, Qin Feng could feel that as this strange seed of heaven and earth was being nurtured, his connection with the fallen god star in the Star River had suddenly become much stronger. Faintly, Qin Feng had an intuition that if he could break through to the pulse condensation period, there would be an unexpected surprise. After thinking for a moment, Qin Feng shook his head. Even with his vast experience, he didn't know whether this change was good or bad. But he was certain that this seed of heaven and earth had far greater potential than an ordinary high-grade seed. Slightly happy, Qin Feng thought to himself, "Next is the final step. Once I comprehend the three profound mysteries to perfection, the seed of heaven and earth will mature and finally fuse it into my body, breaking through to the pulse condensation period." However, comprehending the three profound mysteries will not be done in a single day. Sighing in his heart, Qin Feng shook his head. Someone's coming. At this time, Qin Feng's ears twitched, and a strange light flashed in the corners of his eyes. Sweeping his eyes around, Qin Feng's figure flashed, turning into a black fish that merged into the boundless water. Poochie! The black shadow merged into the water, like a drop of water merging into the ocean, without the slightest movement. Water vapor rose from the great lake, shrouded in clouds and mist. It was peaceful all year round. Rumble! All of a sudden, an earth-shattering boom came from half a mile away. The entire sky was shaking. After a few dozen breaths, a stream of light crazily fled in this direction, breaking through the void at an extremely fast speed, like a long white meteor. It was a young girl in white with a cold face. Her beautiful face was pale, and her hair was messy. Her hair was like clouds, draping over her shoulders. Her aura was circulating around her body. She was actually a second-stage pulse condensation period elite. The aura flowing around her body was abnormally tyrannical, far surpassing the average second-stage pulse condensation period elite. At this time, she looked abnormally miserable. Hundreds of feet behind the young girl, a black chi suddenly soared into the sky from the horizon. It was as fast as lightning. After one or two breaths, a black wind appeared hundreds of feet away. A mysterious figure in a strange black robe coldly looked at the fleeing young girl. His triangular eyes revealed a trace of lust and viciousness. He was neither fast nor slow, like a poisonous snake toying with its prey, tormenting her step by step. He raised a hand and the black wind whistled. A stream of black light shattered the void and instantly hit the back of the fleeing young girl's shoulder. Poochie! Her white clothes were stained with blood. With a loud explosion, the young girl fell like a cannonball into the cave where Qin Feng was previously in seclusion. Bang! Dust flew up and the earth shook. The young girl lay on the ground, unable to get up. Obviously, she was heavily injured and had lost the ability to resist. "Little girl from the human race, you're too weak. You so-called geniuses of the human race can't even withstand a single blow from us wildlands experts. Don't even think about struggling. I said you can't escape. If you are smart, you will obediently follow me and be my slave. Maybe I will be merciful and spare your life. A terrifying aura appeared. A black wind flashed, and the next moment, a strange black-robed young man appeared on the ground. What was frightening was that he had the body of a human and the tail of a snake. His face was covered with yellowish-brown snake scales, and his eyes were green and vertical. His hat hung down, and his head was full of snake hair. One of the 12 strongest clans of the Demon Temple, the Heaven Snake Clan? Under the water, Qin Feng's pupils shrank. There is one more update in the afternoon. Please recommend it. Chapter 261. Wasn't the Heavenly Snake race one of the Fiend Temple's 12 strongest races? Qin Feng was shocked. Could it be that the Fiend Temple had already killed the All-Stars College's elders? Qin Feng thought to himself, that shouldn't be the case. Since the All-Stars College discovered the Fiend Temple's experts sneaking into the capital of stars, it's impossible that they didn't take precautions. Suppressing the thoughts in his mind, Qin Feng's eyes were indifferent. His black robe was hidden among the aquatic plants at the bottom of the lake, making him look like an ordinary seaweed. Lying on the ground, the white-clothed girl was seriously injured. Hearing the words, she raised her head and looked at the Heavenly Snake Race's man. Biting her lower lip, she sneered. A beast wants to make this lady submit? Dream on. You don't know what's good for you. Being able to become this lord's slave is the glory of a two-legged sheep like you. How dare you refuse? A trace of gloominess and cruelty flashed in his eyes. An extremely cold, killing intent emerged from the Heavenly Snake Race's man. Since you don't know what's good for you, then you can merge with this lord's soul-refining flame. The hoarse voice sneered. With a puff, a pitch-black evil flame suddenly appeared above the Heavenly Snake Race's man's palm. The evil and terrifying pitch-black flame was cold and gloomy. Countless sharp and resentful cries resounded in the air, as if it contained countless vengeful souls. The terrifying sound shook one's soul. Soul-refining flame. Jiang Binger was lying on the ground. Her eyes revealed a trace of fear, despair, and unwillingness. Soul-refining black flame? Qin Feng's eyes flickered slightly. Qin Feng recognized this strange ability. The soul-refining black flame was a vicious martial Dao divine power. It was a strange divine power formed by refining the souls of hundreds of beasts. The more souls refined, the deeper the color of the soul-refining black flame, and the more powerful it would be. This kind of soul-refining black flame was very powerful. Once touched, it would directly burn one's soul. The most vicious thing was that if one died under the soul-refining black flame, their soul would be directly devoured by the soul-refining black flame. If the soul-refining black flame didn't dissipate, it would burn forever. He could neither live nor die. The soul-refining black flame on the palm of this Heavenly Snake Clan expert was not to be underestimated. It was already black in color, and the center of the flame was black and purple. Obviously, at least hundreds and thousands of creatures had died in the hands of this Heavenly Snake Clan expert. Go! The Sky Serpent Clan expert sneered. On his palm, the soul-refining black flame suddenly turned into a black snake and swallowed the woman in white. Kill! At the bottom of the water, a black shadow instantly rushed out and appeared behind the Heavenly Snake Clan's expert in the next moment. Someone actually launched a sneak attack? The man from the Heavenly Serpent race was taken aback. Then, with a sinister smile, he twisted his body and swung his tail at Qin Feng. The snake's tail, which was as thick as a bucket, swept out like a thick whip. The air was blasted apart, and a violent gale locked onto Qin Feng's body. Qin Feng chuckled and did not dodge. His body was like a sharp blade that transformed into a sword. Like a black thunderbolt, he slashed out. Seeing that the black shadow behind him did not dodge, the man from the heavenly serpent race was not surprised. Instead, he smiled. You dare to take my tail head on? This two-legged sheep is simply courting death. You should know that when my heavenly serpent race's tail sweeps, even the experts of the turtle clan dare not take it head-on. However, in the next moment, the smile on the heavenly serpent race's face froze. The next moment, an earth-shattering scream erupted from his mouth. Qin Feng was like a sharp blade, easily chopping off a snake tail as thick as a bucket. Qin Feng, who had cultivated the first level of the 8 Desolation Immortal Mystic Art, had a body that was far more tyrannical than one could imagine. With his tail cut off, the man from the heavenly serpent race looked up to the sky and screamed. Blood poured out of his lower body like a fountain. Take his life while he's sick. Qin Feng's eyes flashed with a trace of malevolence. His figure approached the heavenly snake clan's man like lightning. His 2 hands were like sharp claws as he grabbed the man's shoulders and tore with brute force. Poochie! Blood splattered. The man from the heavenly serpent race was torn apart in fear. Poochie! The white-clothed girl couldn't dodge in time and was drenched in the man's blood for a moment. Savage! Too savage! The white-clothed girl stared blankly at the black-robed youth who had suddenly appeared like a demon monarch. A tyrannical powerhouse like the man from the heavenly serpent race had been torn apart alive by this black-robed youth. Poochie! Between the 2 pieces of the heavenly serpent race man's body, a black light with a trace of blood color suddenly burst out and flew into the Great Lake. A mere meridian condensation stage cultivator has condensed a soul essence. It seems that I've caught a top-quality item with a high-grade bloodline. Qin Feng's eyes lit up. Just as he was about to move, a red light appeared. Like a red meteor, it caught up with the black light formed by the heavenly serpent race's soul essence. In an instant, it wrapped around the heavenly serpent race's soul essence. No. A mournful and formless scream sounded and abruptly stopped in the next moment. After swallowing the heavenly serpent race's soul essence, the red light flashed and appeared above Qin Feng's palm, turning into a 9th-grade red lotus. It's actually a red lotus, and a 9th-grade one at that. The white-clothed girl was a little dazed. Her beautiful eyes were wide open. Who was this youth? How could he bloom a 9th-grade red lotus? Holding the red lotus mark, Qin Feng sneered and glanced at the blood at his feet. He tilted his head and his gaze fell on the white-clothed girl who was covered in blood. Speak. Who are you? What's the matter with this bastard from the heavenly serpent race? The white-clothed girl suddenly woke up. Hearing this, she looked at the black-robed youth in surprise and said, Senior apprentice brother, don't you know that the Demon Temple's powerhouses are involved in the competition? Qin Feng's expression changed. The Demon Temple's powerhouses are involved in the competition? Her eyes calmed down. The white-clothed girl organized her words and said, Half a month ago there was a change in Skyscraper Ridge. The Demon Temple's powerhouses suddenly appeared in Skyscraper Ridge and ambushed us. The current Skyscraper Ridge is no longer the Skyscraper Ridge of half a month ago. This place has become a life-and-death battlefield for our All-Stars College and the Demon Temple's powerhouses. The white-clothed girl's expression didn't look too good. Since the appearance of the Demon Temple's people half a month ago, too many people had died in this half a month. What made the All-Stars College's powerhouses uneasy was that even if they crushed the White Lotus mark, they couldn't return to the All-Stars College. It was as if everyone was trapped in Skyscraper Ridge. Qin Feng's eyelids twitched. This wasn't good news. Qin Feng muttered to himself. Is there no response from All-Stars College? There's no response. All of us have lost contact with All-Stars College. The white-clothed girl's face was pale. She looked pitiful under her heavy injuries. Right now, everyone is bitterly holding on. Hopefully, we can hold on until the All-Stars College's reinforcements arrive. Qin Feng was slightly startled. Hearing the girl's pessimistic tone, it seemed like the powerhouses of All-Stars College were in a very bad situation. Qin Feng found it strange. According to his conjecture, it was impossible for All Stars College not to notice the Demon Temple's intentions in the Wildlands domain. Qin Feng guessed that All Stars College's powerhouses plan might have met with an accident. Qin Feng's guess was right. Outside Skyscraper Ridge, All Stars College's powerhouses had indeed met with an accident. Ouyang Su, Yuqin Tian, and the other powerhouses looked bitterly at a mountain-like giant ape in the distance. This was an ape powerhouse that had survived 2 chaos tribulations. The ape race had really gone crazy this time. They actually sent out such a terrifying existence. The 5 powerhouses had bitter smiles on their faces. Chapter 262. Little Sister, I was originally a member of the Sky Sea Pavilion battle team. However, even the powerful Sky Sea Pavilion couldn't withstand the attack of the Demon Temple's experts and was easily defeated. My sisters either died or fled. My luck wasn't bad. There was only one pursuer, but in the end I couldn't escape. If I hadn't met Senior Brother, I'm afraid. The white-clothed girl smiled bitterly. This time, the Demon Temple's sneak attack was too sudden. Suddenly, thousands of Demon Temple experts rushed into Skyscraper Ridge. The experts of the top 10 battle teams had no time to react. In just a few days, most of them were separated and scattered. The group of geniuses suffered heavy casualties. Listening to the white-clothed girl's story, Qin Feng knew that things were not good. The deterioration of the situation was somewhat beyond Qin Feng's imagination. They had to think of a way to save themselves. All Stars College can't be counted on for now. If I want to escape this disaster, I have to rely on myself. With a gloomy expression, Qin Feng thought to himself. However, from what this girl said, the top 10 battle teams were only temporarily scattered. They haven't completely lost the ability to resist. This might be an opportunity. After pondering for a while, Qin Feng glanced at the white-clothed girl. With a wave of his hand, a cup of 7 stars dragon spring appeared in his palm. Drink it and follow me. Tilting her head, the white-clothed girl's eyes lit up when she saw the cup of spirit water suddenly appear in Qin Feng's hand. The girl was very knowledgeable, and could tell at a glance that this was a rare spirit water. 7 stars floated in the spirit water, and the spirit chi was so substantial that it formed a small dragon. This spirit water seemed to be liquid spirit chi. Without hesitation, she drank it in one gulp. An hour later, the white-clothed girl opened her eyes. She couldn't hide the trace of joy in her eyes. She had recovered from her serious injuries. The white-clothed girl looked around her and waved her arm. A violent aura surged around her like lightning and thunder. Not only were her injuries completely healed, but her lightning true force also flowed around her body. She had almost recovered. The white-clothed girl faintly felt that what she had just drunk was not ordinary spirit water. Although ordinary spirit water could heal injuries, it definitely didn't have such a miraculous effect. Of course it's not that simple, my 7-star dragon spring. Qin Feng curled his lips. Qin Feng's eyes flashed with a hint of heartache. There wasn't much of the 7-star dragon spring to begin with. He had used up some when he was escaping from the ape's sacred mountain. Now there was only a small pool left. It had to be said that to be able to use this spirit spring water that could increase a cultivator's lifespan to recover from injuries, Qin Feng was truly extravagant. Thank you, Senior Brother. The girl in white rose to her feet and looked at the black-robed young man with gratitude in her beautiful eyes. All right, you don't have to be so polite. I didn't save you without a price. Qin Feng glared at the girl. Then, Senior Brother Qin Feng, what should we do next? Let's go find some helpers. While we're at it, we can also find a good place with good feng shui. Qin Feng's gaze swept around as he stroked his chin. Although Qin Feng could hide, he wouldn't be able to hide for a while, but he wouldn't be able to hide forever. Qin Feng needed to find a few helpers and try to unite everyone. Qin Feng had an idea in his mind. If it could be realized, self-preservation shouldn't be a problem. Find helpers? The girl in white's eyes flickered. Senior brother, do you have any goals? Qin Feng took in the white-clothed girl's expression and tilted his head to ask. What do you have in mind? Speak. Senior brother Qin Feng, before this little sister ran away, I hurriedly looked back and knew the approximate direction of some of my sisters. Can senior brother? The girl in white lowered her head slightly, her face somewhat pleading. Qin Feng pondered for a moment, his eyes flashing. Qin Feng wasn't a good person. In such an environment, finding a few more useless teammates was absolutely courting death. The girl in white's beautiful eyes were anxious as she looked at the black-robed young man pleadingly. After a moment of silence, Qin Feng couldn't resist the girl's gaze and asked, How strong are your sisters? Senior brother, you can rest assured. To be able to participate in the Hidden Dragon Point competition, the strength of my sisters is top-notch. Each one of them is a pulse condensation period existence. Moreover, their minds are outstanding. I believe they can hold on for a while. So it's like this. Qin Feng's expression relaxed. As long as it wasn't to save a burden, he could still consider saving a damsel in distress. After thinking for a moment, Qin Feng nodded. I can save them, but I'll say this first. They must listen to my orders. If they don't know what's good for them, don't blame me for ruthlessly destroying them. The girl in white was overjoyed as she slightly bowed. Senior brother, don't worry. I understand. Lead the way. Skyscraper Ridge was vast, but generally speaking, it was divided into 4 areas with the 4 main peaks as the center. The 4 main peaks were Luminous Peak, Dragon Head Peak, Sky Demon Peak, and Purple Dawn Peak. Luminous Peak was the most beautiful, Dragon Head Peak was the most beautiful, and Sky Demon Peak was the most dangerous. This was the back of the mountain, and it was the back of the mountain where poisonous insects and miasma gathered. Purple Dawn Peak was the most magnificent. Every morning there would be a purple mist and the rising sun gathering around the mountain, like a luxurious purple mist lingering around the mountain. Here, the mountain flowers were bright and vibrant. An hour later, Qin Feng and the girl in white appeared in a forest several hundred miles away from Purple Dawn Peak. The two were very cautious. On the way, they had encountered 6 or 7 waves of demon temple powerhouses searching for them. If they weren't careful, they would have been chased by the powerhouses already. The girl in white looked at the forest and said, It's around here. I saw Senior Sister Yi escaping in this direction. Senior Sister Yi Qinghua is one of the few powerhouses in Sky Sea Pavilion. She is very strong and her natal star is a wood star. She has comprehended the Greenwood True Force. If we can get her support, our strength will definitely increase a lot. This direction? Qin Feng's eyes flickered. Half a mile away, he could smell the smell of blood in the forest. Something's wrong. Qin Feng's eyes flickered as he secretly raised his guard. Half a quarter of an hour later, the two of them appeared in the middle of a mountain forest. The first thing they saw was bloodstains. Some tall, ancient trees were broken. Traces of battle could be seen everywhere. The short shrubs were sprinkled with blood. This place was filled with a tragic aura. Rustle. With light steps, Qin Feng stepped on the soft leaves. His eyes followed the bloodstains. Obviously, this was a place where the geniuses of All Stars College gathered. These people must have been suddenly attacked by the powerhouses of Demon Temple. After dozens of steps, Qin Feng saw several mutilated corpses. These corpses had been torn apart by sharp claws. Their internal organs had been beaten out by brute force. It was abnormally bloody. Qin Feng's eyes swept over them. He could see that these people were all killed by one person. Junior brother Qian, junior brother Zhou. The girl in white recognized some people from the corpses. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. These people were quite famous in All Stars College. They were not weaker than her. However, they had all died here. Not a single person had escaped. Qin Feng shook his head with a grave expression. Junior sister Jiang, I'm afraid that your senior sister Yi is not in a good situation. You and I should be careful. The smell of blood here is too strong. The smell of blood gradually became stronger. After passing through a concave area, Qin Feng's expression suddenly changed. His nose twitched. A strong and strange smell was emitted from the front. Qin Feng's figure flashed and appeared 10 steps away. He looked down from above. Qin Feng only took a glance. His pupils immediately shrank. An extremely cruel scene appeared in Qin Feng's eyes. Dozens of naked female corpses appeared in front of him. They were lying in a disorderly manner in the ravine. Their bodies were naked. Their beautiful bodies were covered with bruises and their lower body was incomparably filthy. The beautiful eyes of these girls were wide open. They had completely lost their luster. It was as if they were telling of unwillingness and resentment. These were all proud girls of All Stars College. However, their deaths were so tragic. Looking at the girls before their deaths, they had suffered inhuman humiliation. Junior Sister Lu, Junior Sister Lu, Junior Sister Yen. The girl in white appeared on the ravine. Looking at the corpses in the ravine, she couldn't help but cover her mouth and almost knelt on the ground. Qin Feng's eyes emitted a deep cold light. These pitiful girls were all forcefully harvested and died. All the female corpses seemed to be intact, but in fact their essence, energy, and spirit had been completely emptied. They had become empty shells. Qin Feng's eyes surged with anger. At this moment, his hatred for the foreign races of the Demon Temple had reached an unprecedented level. These foreign races were simply worse than animals. The first brother to tip 10,000 book coins has appeared. Congratulations to Dream for becoming the first Nirvana Realm big shot of this book. According to the rules, I will add one more chapter. Chapter 263. Qin Feng turned around and asked, "Is your senior sister Yi Qinghua among them?" The white-clothed girl gritted her teeth. "Senior brother Qin Feng, don't worry. Senior sister Yi cultivates the heavenly wood arcane art. She can refine 10,000 wood into heavenly wood divine needles. In a place like Skyscraper Ridge, I believe that the murderer won't be able to hurt her for the time being." The heavenly wood arcane art was a true martial arcane art. It could refine 10,000 wood true chi and control wood spirit. In a wild forest like Skyscraper Ridge, it was practically invincible. Although it could be defeated, it would be very difficult to capture and kill them. Qin Feng nodded. The white-clothed girl's figure fell into the ravine, about to collect the corpses of these girls. Bang! At this moment, a sudden change occurred. Dozens of steps away, behind a towering tree, a black shadow sped over. This sound was extremely fast, and it was a sudden sneak attack. Before the white-clothed girl could react, the shadow was already 10 steps away from her. A mournful evil wind enveloped the white-clothed girl's body and bones, and an extremely dense shadow of death enveloped her. Impudent! Although Qin Feng did not sense that someone was still hiding in the dark, he instantly reacted and rushed toward the white-clothed girl like a cannonball. However, at this moment, Qin Feng's side was ablaze, and a terrifying hot wind burst out from the side. Qin Feng had the illusion that his entire body was being melted by this terrifying flame. "There's still an ambush." Qin Feng was secretly alarmed, but then Qin Feng reacted. The tragedy in the ravine could be a trap set up by the Demon Temple's experts. They were using these dead girls to fish. Qin Feng and the white-clothed girl were no doubt the fat fish that had taken the bait. The Demon Temple's experts were not ordinary savage and sinister. These thoughts flashed through his mind in an instant. Qin Feng's mouth curved into a cold smile. "Want to fish? Let's see if you have the ability." With a long roar, Qin Feng's speed increased explosively once again. The spirit snake steps exploded under his feet. His body was like an unimaginable spirit snake as he turned 90 degrees at an almost impossible angle. His figure flashed past in a zigzag pattern, leaving behind afterimages. In the next moment, Qin Feng's figure suddenly appeared behind the white-clothed girl. He grabbed the girl's soft waist, and after a breath, the two of them turned into a breeze and appeared 100 steps away. Rumble! 2 dragon roars, one black and one white, exploded on the spot. The ravine was turned upside down and leveled to the ground. Bang! 2 figures appeared on the spot. It was a dark and cold expert from the heavenly serpent race. Around its body were 2 dragon-shaped energies, one black and one white. Its cold triangular eyes fell on Qin Feng, and it seemed very surprised. The other was a tall and sturdy young man. He had a broad face, a lion's nose, and long curly golden hair. His whole body emitted a strong sense of majesty, and his eyes were golden like the king of beasts. This was the elite of the heavenly lion race, one of the 12 races of the demon temple. The killing aura from the 2 experts was very dense. Obviously, they were both savage warriors. In his arms, the white-clothed girl's face blushed a little. Qin Feng's big warm hand was on her waist, giving her a strange feeling. She quietly struggled out of Qin Feng's hand. Not noticing the white-clothed girl's strange behavior, Qin Feng raised his head and looked at the 2 experts. Qin Feng's expression changed slightly. At least the second meridian's condensing realm. Shifting his gaze, Qin Feng's gaze landed on the Heaven Snake Clan man's body. He was prepared to look at the 2 intertwining black and white dragon-shaped energies surrounding the Heaven Snake Clan man. Yin-Yang fierce battle of gods and demons. Qin Feng's expression changed slightly. Yin-Yang fierce battle of gods and demons was rumored to be a Yin-Yang ability that could absorb the energy of gods and demons. It was very powerful. The black and white dragon-shaped energies formed an evil dragon that could easily melt a martial practitioner's flesh and blood. Deshang could even melt the void and turn it into yin and yang energies. However, this ability was very difficult to cultivate and extremely evil. One needed to harvest the yin essence of hundreds of pure yin girls to form a soul. Obviously, all the girls in the forest had died tragically at the hands of this heavenly serpent race man. Qin Feng's eyes fell on the heavenly serpent race man, and the killing intent in his heart was hard to suppress. "You're not slow, 2-legged sheep." The heavenly serpent race man smiled calmly. His eyes fell on Qin Feng and the white-clothed girl. His dark green pupils were sizing up the 2 prey. They were really 2 fat sheep. Yu Gu's expression was excited, and his heart was filled with pride. His plan was indeed useful. He had displayed the miserable state of those girls, and the so-called All-Stars College would definitely fall for it. "Sure, Qing, as usual, we'll divide all the prey equally. I want that girl." Yu Gu licked his dry lips, and his lustful eyes fell on Jiang Binger. The tall lion race expert's eyes were like torches, and a ball of golden red light burned fiercely on his body. He stared coldly at the black-robed youth. "I want this man. This man's meat is not bad." The 2 alien race experts had already regarded Qin Feng and the white-clothed girl as meat on the chopping board. Hearing this, Qin Feng turned his head to the white-clothed girl and asked expressionlessly, "How long can you last against that young Pekingese?" The heavenly lion race youth's face turned cold, and the golden flames in his eyes burned fiercely. He was from the noble heavenly lion race, and had the bloodline of a demon god. A Pekingese was a great insult to him. The girl's face was slightly pale, and she was a little uneasy. The pressure these 2 experts gave her was too strong. Hearing this, the girl raised her head and looked at the black-robed youth. The girl saw no trace of panic on the black-robed youth's face. For some reason, the girl calmed down and the panic in her heart disappeared. She thought for a while and said, "I can only last for 200 breaths at most." Qin Feng nodded, and his eyes fell on the heavenly snake race man. "That's enough. I only need 50 breaths to kill this cold-blooded beast. After I kill him, I'll help you kill this man-eating dog." "Cold-blooded beast?" The heavenly snake race man's chest rose and fell, and his yellowish eyes turned upside down. He let out a hoarse hiss, and his body roared. The yin and yang evil dragons around him suddenly enveloped Qin Feng. At the same time, the heavenly lion race man also attacked Qin Feng. He could also see that although Qin Feng was only at the 13th heaven of the martial path, he was still very strong. Between the two of them, Qin Feng was stronger. As long as Qin Feng was eliminated, the white-clothed girl would be a piece of meat on the chopping board. He was like a ball of golden flames. He had mastered a fire attribute magical power, and his punches and kicks contained terrifying heat. It was very shocking. Your opponent is me. Rumble. There was an earth-shattering sound of thunder and a delicate shout. The sword in her hand was like a winding lightning bolt that pierced towards the heavenly lion race expert. Without the threat of the heavenly lion race man, Qin Feng's mind suddenly relaxed. He raised his head and heard a dragon roar 10 steps away. 2 black and white evil dragons broke through the air and attacked. Qin Feng sneered. Although the yin-yang fierce battle technique was abnormally powerful, it also depended on who was using it. If the heavenly snake race man could summon dragon scales, dragon horns, and dragon claws from the 2 yin-yang evil dragons, he might be somewhat afraid. But now they were in the form of a snake and a dragon. A magical power of this level might be able to show off against other Meridian's condensation stage expert. However, in the eyes of an expert like Qin Feng who had the vision of a grandmaster, it was full of flaws. Qin Feng took a step forward, and an invisible wave vibrated from his feet. His figure flashed like an invisible breeze. Under the surprised gaze of the heavenly snake race man, he directly swept past the attack of the 2 black and white evil dragons and appeared in front of the heavenly snake race man. His claw broke through the air and grabbed at him. There will be more updates in the afternoon. Chapter 264. Unbeknownst to the 4 people fighting in the ravine, a pair of eyes were closely watching the 4 of them from a few hundred feet away. It was a tall and graceful woman in a green dress. She had an oval face, willowy eyebrows, red lips, and black hair. She had a very fresh aura that seemed to have blended into the entire forest. She was a fairy born in the forest. This woman was the Sky Sea Pavilion's expert, Yi Qinghua, whom Jiang Binger could not find. After witnessing the tragic deaths of her junior brothers and sisters, Yi Qinghua did not leave the forest. Instead, she sneaked back and waited for an opportunity to take revenge. However, she could not deal with the 2 foreign race experts alone, so she hid in the dark and waited for an opportunity. She saw Qin Feng and Jiang Binger. Yu Gu and Shi Qing's sneak attack was not unexpected by Yi Qinghua. Yi Qinghua was clear about the conspiracy of these 2 foreign race experts. This is yin and yang intertwining with each other and smelting all things. This is the yin-yang fierce battle fiend god technique. This bastard has really cultivated this kind of divine ability. Rumor has it that this divine ability is related to the supreme divine ability ranked 16th on the divine ability ranking, the yin-yang reversal Tao. No wonder all the junior sisters couldn't stop him and died in his hands. Yi Qinghua's towering chest heaved up and down. Her eyes could not calm down. The divine power list recorded 100 divine powers, each of which had the power to destroy heaven and earth. The yin-yang inverse way was a divine power that contained the essence of yin and yang. The yin-yang evil dragon was avoided? Yu Gu's expression changed greatly. A look of disbelief flashed across his triangular eyes. This yin-yang battle celestial demon technique was his trump card. Relying on this technique, many of the Meridian Condensation Third Realm cultivators in the Myriad Stars Academy were defeated. But today, he had failed. You dare to be distracted. Qin Feng's black shadow appeared in front of Yu Gu. His 5 fingers were like iron claws. When he clawed out, it was as if 5 lightning bolts had locked onto Yu Gu. Blood Prison Shadow Thunder Claw. After reaching the 13th heaven of the martial path, Qin Feng's greatest gain was not refining the strange seed of heaven and earth. After the surging innate true qi turned into astral true force, Qin Feng could finally use some of the martial arts techniques from his previous life, Deshang. Bang bang bang! His 5 fingers pierced through Yu Gu's skin like a hot knife through butter, and under Yu Gu's horrified expression, he pulled out a dark green snake gallbladder. Bolts of silver-white lightning exploded, instantly annihilating the snake gallbladder. Ah! The snake gallbladder was destroyed, but Yu Gu didn't die. However, there was nothing he could do. The snake gallbladder was the most important organ of the heavenly snake race, just like the heart of a human. Lowly human, I'll take you down with me. A trace of resentment flashed in Yu Gu's triangular eyes. His tail suddenly swept up, and he turned into a giant snake with black scales and white rings. Fight like a trapped beast? Qin Feng furrowed his brows. A gust of evil wind swept over and coiled around his waist. A boundless pressure pressed down on him, threatening to crush all the bones in his body. Roar! Above his head, a giant python opened its mouth and bit down on Qin Feng's head. Qin Feng was shocked and hurriedly turned his head away. Poochie! A sharp pain came from his shoulder as if steel had pierced into his collarbone. The giant python had bitten his shoulder, and its fangs pierced into his collarbone. Crackle, crackle! At the same time, Qin Feng's bones were squeezed by a huge force, and the sound of metal being deformed rang out. However, Yu Gu felt that he wasn't binding a human, but a piece of refined metal. The fangs in his mouth were almost broken. Waves of sharp pain came. Bite me! It's useless even if you bite me. Qin Feng sneered, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He circulated the 8 desolation immortal mystic art, and a powerful force grew in his bones. A layer of silver-white light flashed on his skin, and countless bones that had been crushed by the giant python were instantly regenerated. Bang! The huge force on his body shook, and a layer of silver light burst out from Qin Feng's eyes. Like a violent ape, a wave of brute force pushed away the giant python's entanglement step by step. Black tortoise sea subduing fist. Suddenly, Qin Feng's eyes turned sharp, and with a loud roar, a shocking force grew. The force around his body combined with the 8 desolation immortal mystic art, and like an invisible giant black tortoise, it stomped down. Bang! The earth trembled. An unstoppable force exploded from his body, and in an instant, the bloody light burst. The giant python wrapped around Qin Feng's body like a rope and broke into several pieces. Roar! With a tragic hiss, the giant python turned back into its human form and fell to the ground. Yu Gu's body was incomparably tragic, and his human head and snake body were broken into 3 or 4 pieces. Yu Gu's vitality was abnormally strong, and he didn't die immediately. The several pieces of his broken body struggled fiercely like a loach. Yu Gu! Hearing the commotion, Shi Qing suddenly repelled the white-clothed girl's entanglement with a move, and his figure flashed and appeared 100 steps away. Looking at Yu Gu's miserable state, Shi Qing's body shook violently, and a trace of coldness grew in his heart. Yu Gu had been defeated. In less than 20 breaths of time, the heavenly snake race's expert who had mastered the yin-yang fierce battle fiend god great art had been defeated. Shi Qing's face was ugly. Although Yu Gu couldn't enter the top 10 of the Demon Temple's younger generation, he had no problem ranking in the top 20. Even if it was him, encountering Yu Gu who had mastered the yin-yang fierce battle fiend god great art would be difficult for him. However, Yu Gu had actually died in the hands of an expert who looked like he was only at the 13th heavenly layer of the martial path from All Stars College. This was definitely a monstrous genius. This brat is very strong, he killed Yu Gu with his bare hand. I am definitely not his opponent. Of the 36 stratagems, the best stratagem is to run away. Just wait for me to report this matter to the demonic temple, there will be experts coming to deal with this brat. Who knows, I might even be able to obtain a reward and enter the heavenly snake race's land of inheritance. My strength will increase greatly, and I'll be able to catch up to that arrogant guy. Thinking in his heart, Shi Qing didn't slow down. His figure flashed, and with a loud bang, he turned into a streak of red light and shot towards the depths of Skyscraper Ridge. Fire escape technique. In the Heavenly Lion race, the Golden Flaming Lion's innate ability was extremely fast. When Shi Qing executed it, he covered a distance of 100 zhang in the blink of an eye. Shi Qing had a complacent expression. Occasionally, he would turn his head to look at the furious white-clothed girl and black-robed youth. His lion eyes flashed with traces of a sneer. Shi Qing's figure was tall and sturdy, but his speed wasn't slow. In the blink of an eye, he had covered a distance of a few hundred zhang. When Qin Feng raised his head and saw Shi Qing running away, it was already too late. At this time, it was already too late to catch up. Qin Feng looked at the white-clothed girl, who was still in a daze. She didn't know why Shi Qing was running away. What a pig teammate! Qin Feng's figure flashed, and he frowned. This kind of teammate was really feeling helpless in his heart. Qin Feng didn't bother to scold Shi Qing. With a gloomy face, he thought of a solution. Once this foreign race expert ran away, the two of them would definitely be exposed. Next, they would have to face the pursuit of the Demon Temple's experts. The white-clothed girl's face was a little uneasy. She actually didn't see that Shi Qing had the intention to run away. She was caught off guard and actually let Shi Qing escape. Seeing the black-robed youth ignoring her, the white-clothed girl lowered her head with a trace of grievance on her pretty face. Shi Qing's figure was about to disappear from sight. Suddenly, from the ancient forest, several pitch-black ancient vines as thick as an arm shot out like spirit snake. Caught off guard, Shi Qing, who was focused on running away, was instantly wrapped up like a dumpling. Bang! With a loud bang, he fell on the ground with a loud bang. Qin Feng's eyes lit up, and a trace of ferocity flashed across his eyes. Good chance. The second brother who tipped 10,000 book coins is born. Congratulations to Nameless for becoming the second Nirvana Realm giant in this book. Let's make a deal. If brothers want to tip, the author begs you to keep it until August 6th. August 6th is the day after tomorrow. The day after tomorrow, the author will release more chapters. This way, the summary of the results will look better. Chapter 265. Qin Feng's figure was like an arrow leaving the bow. With a swoosh, Qin Feng appeared 300 meters away. Far away, a beautiful young lady in green flew out from behind an ancient tree. The girl was surrounded by a thick layer of green wood true power. Countless black spirit vines as thick as a child's arm grew out from the ground and wrapped around Shi Qing, who was trying to escape. Bang bang! Shi Qing's body rolled around on the ground like a dumpling. He struggled with all his strength. However, the black spirit vines were extremely tough. They became tighter and tighter. Roar! Shi Qing roared and a layer of golden flames burst out from his body. The black spirit vines screamed as they were burned. The green-clothed girl's face paled as she shouted at the slightly stunned Qin Feng. "What's wrong with you? Why aren't you attacking? I can't hold on any longer." Qin Feng glanced at the green-clothed girl, took a large step forward and spoke at the same time. "Let him go. Let me kill him." Crackle crackle. Qin Feng's body surged with energy. As Qin Feng condensed his true power, Qin Feng's cultivation from his previous life appeared. He was gradually able to use many powerful martial techniques. At this moment, Qin Feng was dozens of times more powerful than the average Meridian's condensation realm elite. Rumble! With a loud sound, Shi Qing broke free from the black spirit vines and attacked Qin Feng with his claw. The claw came with a gust of cold wind and the cries of ghosts. Qin Feng's skin was tingling as if it was going to be torn apart by the claw. Be careful. This is the Lion King's earth-splitting claw. It's very powerful and can break through the true Kong armor," the girl in green warned. Qin Feng had a calm expression on his face as he coldly smiled. His figure was like a beam of light, and the transformations of his body contained many profound movement techniques. There were the clear wind spirit refining steps, the spirit serpent steps, as well as the heavenly thunder steps he comprehended in his previous life. He was like a peerless master who had combined many movements into one. Like a gust of wind, Shi Qing couldn't even touch his clothes. Qin Feng's silhouette had already appeared before Shi Qing as he blasted out a palm strike. "What kind of movement skill is this?" Shi Qing looked as if he had seen a ghost. His eyes revealed a trace of shock and anger. In the next moment, Shi Qing let out a furious roar. "Flames of the Scarlet King!" A golden flame suddenly appeared and blasted towards Qin Feng. The golden blazing lion's innate flame, the red heart lion flame, had an extremely high temperature. It was enough to melt gold and melt iron. "You dare to use a mere yellow-level divine ability against me?" Qin Feng smiled darkly. He stomped his foot and like a cannonball, he shattered the Scarlet King's flames. Under Shi Qing's incredulous gaze, the speeding black shadow took a direct hit from the Scarlet King's flame and suddenly grabbed Shi Qing's neck. The crimson flames lingered around Qin Feng's body. A layer of silver light appeared on Qin Feng's skin, blocking the crimson flames. At the same time, Qin Feng exerted a little force in his palm. Crack! Qin Feng directly crushed Shi Qing's neck. Seeing this scene, Yi Qinghua's delicate face was moved as she thought to herself, "What a ferocious fellow! He actually dares to take on the Scarlet King flame of the Golden Flame Lion head-on." Yi Qinghua knew very well that although the Golden Flame Lion's status in the Lion Clan was not as high as the three-eyed Golden Lions, it was still very powerful. However, his innate divine ability, Scarlet King Flames, was no joke. The Scarlet King's flames were incomparably powerful, and even ordinary spiritual swords would be heavily injured upon contact. However, this young man in front of him actually dared to use his physical body to resist it, and it seemed that not even a single strand of hair was burnt off. This was enough to show how powerful he was. Whoosh! Several hundred meters away, the sound of fluttering clothes could be heard. Jiang Binger had just arrived. Glancing at Shi Qing, who had been killed by Qin Feng, Jiang Binger was slightly delighted. Suddenly, the white-clothed girl noticed the green-clothed girl at the side. Her pretty face was shocked, and then she was overjoyed. "Senior Sister Yi. Junior Martial Sister Jiang." The beautiful girl in green also noticed the white-clothed girl and nodded with a smile. The two girls hugged each other happily, as if they were relatives who had been separated for a long time. Qin Feng's gaze landed on Shi Qing, who was at his feet. He took a few steps forward and searched Shi Qing's body, but to no avail. "You're dressed so well, but you're also a pauper," Qin Feng cursed inwardly. He glanced at Shi Qing, and the red lotus in his palm moved. With a flash of red light, the heavenly lion race expert's blood essence and soul were instantly drawn out and turned into powder. Seeing that Qin Feng had opened the red lotus and absorbed the blood essence of the heavenly lion race expert, the green-clothed girl frowned, but she didn't say anything. The white-clothed girl noticed the green-clothed girl's expression and said, "Senior Martial Sister Yi, this is Senior Martial Brother Qin Feng. If it wasn't for Senior Martial Brother Qin Feng's help, Junior Martial Sister's life would have been lost in the hands of these foreign beasts." Yi Qinghua smiled. Her pretty face was beautiful, and her smile was like a spring breeze that caressed her face, and flowers bloomed 10 miles away. "Qin Feng? So it's Azure Dragon Institute's first seat, Junior Martial Brother Qin Feng. No wonder he's so tyrannical. Yi Qinghua thanks Junior Martial Brother here. If it wasn't for Junior Martial Brother, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to avenge my Junior Martial Sisters in this lifetime." At the mention of those girls who had died tragically, a trace of sadness appeared on the faces of the two girls. Those girls were at the prime of their lives, and each of them was a proud daughter of heaven. Each of them had a noble status, and one of them was even a princess of a country. They still had a great life ahead of them, but they had all died tragically here. Who would have thought that this competition would be so tragic? Qin Feng's gaze fell on the green-clothed girl as he spoke. Senior Marshal Sister Yi, you're too polite. This time, it's all thanks to Senior Marshal Sister Ye's help. Otherwise, if this heavenly lion race expert had escaped, we would have endless troubles in the future. Qin Feng pondered for a moment before returning to the ravine and grabbing the corpse of the heavenly snake race expert. A loud bang was heard. A few pieces of the corpse fell in front of the green-clothed girl. Senior Marshal Sister Yi, this time, it's all thanks to you that we successfully killed the heavenly lion race expert. You and I each take one. It's considered fair. The green-clothed girl looked at the black-clothed boy in surprise. Her eyes were silent for a moment before she nodded her head. The corpse of the heavenly snake race expert was indeed quite useful to her. Her white lotus imprint had absorbed the essence and blood of this heavenly snake race expert, and she was not far away from the 7th grade. The three of them worked together to bury the corpses of the All-Stars College geniuses and cleaned up the place. Qin Feng was used to seeing death, so he didn't feel anything special. The two girls were a little silent and a little sad. They glanced at the new graves and were a little sad. After burying the corpses of the All-Stars College experts, Yi Qinghua and Jiang Binger came to Qin Feng. Junior Marshal Brother Qin Feng, where are you going next? Yi Qinghua looked at the black-clothed girl with a pair of bright eyes. She vaguely had the intention of letting the black-clothed boy take charge. Qin Feng's previous performance had shocked Yi Qinghua. Moreover, with such an expert helping him, his chances of survival were obviously higher. Qin Feng pondered for a moment before his eyes fell on Yi Qinghua. We still need to find some helpers. There are only 3 of us, so our strength is still a little weak. If we want to fight against the experts of the Demon Temple, our strength is far from enough. Yi Qinghua's eyes lit up as she spoke. So Junior Marshal Brother Qin Feng wants to find helpers. Qinghua has a very good candidate. Who is it? The previous Azure Dragon First Seat Senior Marshal Sister Xuelian. If I'm not wrong, Senior Marshal Sister Xuelian should be near this mountain forest. Just as Qin Feng killed Shiqing, a few miles away, among a group of dozens of experts from the Heavenly Lion race, a young expert with a tyrannical aura and eyes full of determination suddenly stopped in his tracks. Shiqing is dead. Who is it? Who killed my brother? The young man from the Heavenly Lion race roared at the sky. In his fury, a faint golden vertical eye cracked open between his brows, and a terrifying aura suddenly appeared. Chapter 266. Snow Lotus? Qin Feng vaguely felt that it sounded familiar, but he didn't think too much about it. The 3 figures turned into streams of light and disappeared into the forest. Yi Qinghua cultivated the heavenly wood mystic skill, tempering her green wood true power. She could communicate with all kinds of trees, and the entire forest could be turned into her eyes and ears. She was like a fish in water in the forest. Along the way, the 3 of them were extremely fast and saved a lot of time searching. Following the traces left by the Azure Dragon's first seat Snow Lotus, the 3 of them rapidly approached the Snow Lotus. Not long after the 3 of them left, whoosh, whoosh, the sound of something breaking through the air was incessant. There were many figures in the forest. Many Heavenly Lion race experts with strong auras and sturdy physiques were flying over. The leader of the group was a young man with a tall stature, a valiant face, and a dignified appearance. His face was resolute, as if it had been carved by a knife. His sharp eyes swept across the forest, and the air in the forest seemed to have become heavier. A terrifying aura was emitted, and the entire forest was silent. The surrounding experts of the Heavenly Lion tribe were filled with respect, reverence, and eagerness. They had an almost innate sense of subservience to this young man. The three-eyed golden lion was the natural ruler of the Heavenly Lion clan. Although he was also the young master of the Heavenly Lion clan, he was definitely not someone that a mixed blood like Shi Qing could compare to. Beside Shi Wushuang, a tall and beautiful young lady with a beautiful appearance turned her beautiful eyes and said, "Wushuang, this is where Shi Qing's scent disappeared. It seems like Shi Qing still met with misfortune." This was a tall girl. She was much taller than the average human girl, but that didn't make her look mediocre. On the contrary, her figure was slender, like a golden ratio. Her flesh and bones were well proportioned. Her icy muscles were her bones, and her limpid eyes were her soul. Her appearance was beautiful, her eyes were clear, and her temperament was pure and holy. Her figure was tall and graceful, and the snow in front of her trembled. She was majestic to an exaggerated degree. What was strange was that her hair was pure white, like a waterfall that cascaded down her back. She held a strange greatsword in her hand. Her status was very special. She could actually look at Shi Wushuang as an equal. Bright Sky Lion clan. This was one of the most powerful bloodlines of the Heavenly Lion. It was only slightly inferior to the three-eyed golden lion, a ruler. Many experts from the Heavenly Lion race looked at the woman with fiery eyes. However, their eyes soon dimmed. The woman in front of them was the fiancée of their young lord, Shi Wushuang. She might even become the matriarch of the Heavenly Lion race in the future. Shi Wushuang's eyes were gloomy and golden rays of light shot out from his eyes. In the next moment, his sharp eyes landed on the new graves. His eyes turned cold and he blasted out a palm strike. Bang! Hundreds of meters away, a few new graves exploded, and a few naked female corpses appeared. Lowly two-legged sheep. Shi Wushuang glanced at him coldly and closed her eyes slightly. A faint golden pattern appeared between her eyebrows and in the next moment, it turned into a vertical pupil. As soon as the vertical eye appeared, a terrifying aura filled the air. The experts of the Heavenly Lion tribe in the forest revealed a trace of fear in their eyes. A supreme aura suppressed everyone, as if they would be turned into ashes in the next moment. The young girl from the bright Heavenly Lion clan had a worried look on her face. Wushuang. Although the three-eyed golden lion was known to have the bloodline of the Emperor, the bloodline of the Emperor was too powerful. Every time he activated the Forbidden Eye, it was a huge burden. The power of the Forbidden Eye was too terrifying. Forcefully activating the Forbidden Eye to peer into time would consume a lot of blood essence for Shi Wushuang, whose cultivation was not yet Deshang. Sister Han, there is no need to say more. Although Shi Qing has only awakened the bloodline of the Golden Flame Lion and is not fated to have the bloodline of the Emperor, he is still my brother. No matter what price I have to pay, I will make sure that the murderer dies without a burial place. With a cold shout, the golden light in Shi Wushuang's vertical pupil intensified. He tried to open the vertical pupil with all his strength. The vertical pupil began to glow and a golden luster flowed. In the next moment, a golden light that seemed to have frozen time opened. The entire forest and the void stagnated for half a breath. In the next moment, the vertical pupil closed and disappeared. When Shi Wushuang opened his eyes, a drop of sweat dripped down from his forehead. A meridian's condensation realm expert's flesh orifice was complete and all the impurities in their body had been refined. It was very difficult for them to sweat. Only when they had exhausted too much of their essence would they sweat. Shi Wushuang's face was cold and indifferent. He remembered the three auras that flashed in his heart. Lowly human ants dared to kill my brother. There will be no place for you to hide even at the ends of the earth. Shi Wushuang's eyes were surging with icy killing intent. Following the direction in which Qin Feng, Yi Qinghua, and Jiang Binger had left, Shi Wushuang firmly locked onto the three auras. His figure turned into a golden light and followed closely behind. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a sigh. Shi Han's figure moved. Her tall and slender legs bounced, and in the next moment, she appeared a few feet away and followed closely behind. The Heavenly Lion Tribe experts were like cheetahs in the forest as they hurriedly followed. A moment after Shi Wuxuang left. Kacha kacha! With the new graves as the center, a strange whimpering and rubbing sound suddenly appeared in the forest. It was sharp and ear-piercing, like nails rubbing against glass. Bang! In an instant, with a loud bang, the entire void suddenly collapsed inwards as if a terrifying force had shattered the void. A dark crack in the shape of a centipede appeared in the void, like a ferocious pitch-black mouth. A majestic suction force sucked in the entire forest and the new tomb within a radius of 1,000 feet. Rumble! With the new graves as the center, the area within 1,000 feet radius was turned into ashes in an instant. The whole forest seemed to have been bitten off by a big mouth out of nowhere. After a quarter of an hour, a vigorous black shadow suddenly leaped toward the forest. Her speed was strange, as if she was flashing rapidly in the shadows. Occasionally, she would blend into the shadows of the forest. In the blink of an eye, a strong wind blew and she arrived in front of the forest. It was a black-robed girl with a graceful figure that was not inferior to the previous bright Heavenly Lion Tribe girl. She was dressed in a black robe and her slender and elastic legs were exposed. Her snow-white and lively skin made people unable to take their eyes off her. Compared to the conservative Shi Han from the bright Heavenly Lion race, this young lady was more open. She was wearing an extremely short skirt made of beast skin. Her waist was slim and slender, and her upper garment made of beast skin moved up and down with her footsteps. Her lips were dark red, and her hair was as black as clouds. Every part of her body was exuding a wild charm. She was wrapped in a black robe and her face was hidden in the shadow of the hat. She looked at the forest that had suddenly disappeared in front of her. She muttered to herself, "It's Big Brother's forbidden eye. This time Big Brother is anxious. It seems that Shi Qing's death really made him angry. I'd like to know who could make Senior Brother, who has always been aloof, so angry? But no matter who it is, whoever dares to make Big Brother angry must die." The corners of the girl's mouth curved slightly. Her dark red lips had a trace of playfulness. However, a layer of cold black fog surrounded her body. The whole forest seemed to have been darkened and degenerated into a dark forest. "And Shi Han, my good sister, don't be too proud. Although you have become Big Brother's fiancé, I, Shi Tong, will never give up. Big Brother is destined to be my husband. No one can take him away from me. There will be an update in the afternoon. It will explode tomorrow. Please recommend it. Please bookmark it." Chapter 267. 4 hours later, dozens of miles away, in front of a hidden valley, 3 silhouettes shot over from afar. A black shadow flashed and Qin Feng appeared at the entrance of the valley in a black robe. Here, flowers were in full bloom and all kinds of elegant flowers bloomed. Butterflies fluttered in the sea of flowers. At a glance, the sea of flowers was like a winding river with green mountains on both sides. A giant peak covered in a layer of light purple aura stood in the sky. Zixia Peak. Following the remnant aura left behind by Xuelian, Qin Feng and the other two had arrived here. Qin Feng turned his head, his gaze landing on the 2 women as he spoke. "Do you want to take a break?" The 2 women shook their heads. Meridian Condensation Realm martial artists were full of energy and could easily travel for a few hours. Moreover, there were pursuers behind them. "Junior brother, let's hurry up. The Heavenly Lion Tribe experts have caught up with us. If there are no accidents, they will catch up with us in at most an hour. These people are powerful and Shaoling's instinct tells me that we can't fight against them." A black spiritual vine in Yi Qinghua's hand was waving its branches and leaves as it squeaked. This was a profound-level spiritual vine called the Spirit-Devouring Vine. It was an extremely rare spiritual root that could devour life force and flesh to evolve. With this spiritual vine, the slightest change within a few miles couldn't escape the trio's eyes and ears. Qin Feng glanced at the two women who looked worried and smiled. "Don't worry, it's just a few Pekingese. We can't beat them, but they definitely can't catch up with us." Qin Feng's eyes flashed with a sinister smile. If he wasn't limited by his cultivation and couldn't use some powerful restrictions, Qin Feng would definitely let those pursuers know the seriousness of chasing after an array grandmaster. Even so, Qin Feng wouldn't let those pursuers have an easy time. Qin Feng scanned the lush sea of flowers. Qin Feng's extremely sensitive sixth sense sensed the unusually rich would attribute spiritual energy here. This place has a peculiar topography and is rich in spiritual qi. It's a good place to set up a formation. It's just nice to let those experts of the Heavenly Lion tribe have some fun. As Qin Feng pondered, a level 1 profound formation appeared in his mind. 10,000 flowers confusion profound formation. You two wait a moment. Let me make some arrangements. Qin Feng took a deep breath and flew towards the valley. With a flash, Qin Feng appeared in midair. With a flip of his palm, pieces of sparkling and translucent jade appeared in Qin Feng's hand. This was the best quality jade cut from the essence of the jade mine in the spiritual light cave. It was full of spiritual energy. This was a supreme-grade spirit item. The corners of Qin Feng's mouth twitched. His eyes were filled with hatred. He had spent a lot of effort to accumulate this wealth bit by bit. Now it was being used too quickly. Damned demons and foreign races. Wait until my cultivation reaches the Deshang realm. I will definitely make you pay the price. With reluctance in his heart, Qin Feng shot out more than 10 pieces of jade and scattered them all over the sea of flowers. At the same time, Qin Feng made a hand gesture and a tree branch full of spiritual energy appeared in his palm. This was the branch of the 1,000-year-old jade essence tree. If it was cut in the spiritual soil, it might be able to cultivate a new jade essence tree. Qin Feng had originally collected it to be transplanted into the jade wood world to suppress the spiritual veins after it was formed. At this time, in order to get rid of the pursuers, he had to use this item to replace the formation map to suppress the formation eye. What is Senior Qin Feng doing? A trace of worry flashed in her beautiful eyes. Jiang Binger looked at the black-robed youth in confusion. This Senior Qin Feng was too strange. The pursuers were so close behind, and he still had the mood to pick flowers? Compared to Jiang Binger, Yi Qinghua was more experienced and knowledgeable. She gradually found clues from Qin Feng's actions. This is a formation. Could it be that this junior Qin Feng is actually a formation master who is proficient in formations? Yi Qinghua was shocked. The more Yi Qinghua looked, the more likely it was. Based on her experience, Qin Feng was clearly setting up a formation, and it seemed that his method of setting up the formation was not ordinary. Formations were profound and did not reveal the slightest flaw. Yi Qinghua's beautiful eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. As everyone knew, mystic formation masters were extremely rare and had unfathomable power. They could create clouds and rain with a flip of their palm. A profound mystic formation master could even set up countless formations with a thought. Having a mystic formation master by his side was like following a moving fortress. Yi Qinghua suppressed the shock in her heart, and there was a trace of joy in her beautiful eyes. We're saved. Following this junior Qin Feng is the right move. With a mystic formation master by our side, the experts of the Demon Temple are nothing. As long as the top 10 experts of the younger generation of the Demon Temple don't appear, no matter how many experts there are, they won't be able to easily injure a mystic formation master. Pursing her lips, the beautiful girl's eyes moved, and there was a trace of unconcealable splendor in them. Half an hour later, Qin Feng's figure flashed and appeared next to the two girls. Yi Qinghua's beautiful eyes moved as she asked, "Junior Qin Feng, what kind of formation is this?" "Formation?" Jiang Binger's eyes lit up as her beautiful eyes fell on the black-robed youth. Tilting his head, Qin Feng looked at the peerless beauty in green in surprise and said with a faint smile, "This is a myriad flower confusion mystic formation that I set up with the vitality of 10,000 flowers. Anyone who enters this formation will lose their sense of direction, their 6 senses will be reversed, and the universe will be reversed. If they don't understand the Tao of formations, I'm afraid they won't be able to walk out of the formation in half a month." Although this formation is only a level 1 mystic formation, some of its abilities are stronger than a level 2 mystic formation. If the other races of the Demon Temple don't pay attention and barge into this formation, I guarantee that they will know what it means to have no path to heaven and no door to hell. Qin Feng's eyes were gloomy as he smiled. So that's how it is. The two girls looked at each other, and there was a trace of fear on their faces. Mystic formation masters were indeed famous for being strange and difficult to deal with. This formation could actually make a cultivator lose their spiritual perception, which was quite terrifying. It was like depriving a cultivator of their 6 senses, turning the intruder into a deaf, blind, or wooden person. "Let's go." After glancing at the sea of flowers, Qin Feng led the two girls and continued to speed in the direction of Xixia Peak. 15 minutes after Qin Feng and the other two, Shi Wushuang led a dozen Heavenly Lion tribe experts to the entrance of the valley aggressively. Shi Wushuang closed her eyes slightly and felt the 3 faint, familiar auras in the air. After a moment, she opened her eyes and sneered. "This is the place we just left not long ago. No matter how cunning you are, you can forget about escaping from the hunter's hands." The dozens of Heavenly Lion tribe experts looked at each other and smiled. "Looks like it won't be long before something interesting happens. Just a few ants taking turns and leading us in circles in the mountain forest. Do they really think they can escape from the hands of our Heavenly Lion tribe? How would these weak humans know the strength of our Heavenly Lion tribe? These lowly 2-legged sheep are really whimsical. They want to escape safely after killing our Heavenly Lion tribe's people. What a daydream! The young clan leader is really powerful. No wonder he is one of the top 10 strongest in the younger generation of the Demon Temple." Ladies and gentlemen, although the human race is weak, the bodies of those young girls are extraordinarily soft. That feeling, tsk. Brothers, this time it's my turn to enjoy the gentleness of the human girls. This time, I can't let you play with them to death and then throw them to me. Haha, you're right. I love it when those human girls scream. The more it makes me excited, the more I can't wait. The Heavenly Lion tribe experts licked their dry lips and their eyes were filled with lust and cruelty. Shi Wushuang looked up to the sky and let out a shrill cry. His body shot forward like a ray of golden light and golden flames burned in his eyes. He took the lead and rushed into the sea of flowers. One after another, figures shot out like arrows. Suddenly, everyone's vision turned black and they fell into the sea of flowers like dumplings. Not good? Why is it so dark? Just as Shi Wushuang and the others fell into the trap. A few miles away, Qin Feng and the other two had reached the upper reaches of the sea of flowers. Suddenly, the 3 of them stopped at the same time. There was a loud bang. The sound of metal clashing came from the depths of the sea of flowers. Chapter 268. Screams could be heard from afar. Yi Qinghua was shocked. Could it be senior sister Xuelian? The 3 of them looked at each other and flashed away. After 3 breaths of time, a tragic scene appeared in front of the 3 of them on a relatively high hill. A thick smell of blood blew over, making them feel nauseous. Dozens of corpses were strewn all over the ground. The blood on the hill converged into a stream and flowed down. The dark red blood emitted a thick smell of blood. The horrifying scene made their scalps go numb. Qin Feng was expressionless. Yi Qinghua was slightly better, but her face was not looking good. Jiang Binger had already vomited. Qin Feng walked past the dozens of corpses on the hill. There were experts from All Stars College, and also experts from the Demon Temple's 12 strongest clans. The surrounding sea of flowers was dyed red by the blood. Qin Feng saw a familiar face among the dozens of corpses. Zhao Xikong. Zhao Xikong's eyes were wide open. One of his arms had been forcefully torn off, and there was a large hole in his chest with blood flowing out. This Xiantian clan's godson, who entered All Stars College in the same batch as Qin Feng and had previously become the Black Tortoise Institution's first seat, had died here. His death was exceptionally tragic. This god's son came from a nameless hidden clan. He had the illusion god bloodline and was skilled in martial arts. He was also one of the best in All Stars College. Zhao Xikong had once competed with Qin Feng, and they were even enemies. Qin Feng felt a chill in his heart. Zhao Xikong's death was somewhat unjust. This god's son was extremely talented. Given enough time, he might have been able to shake a region. But he had died here. His chest was pierced through with a single blow, ending his life. Yi Qinghua and Jiang Binger also found many old friends among the corpses on the ground. These geniuses were all famous in All Stars College. Each of them was a genius. To be able to escape from the 10 great battle teams, they could be said to be the elites of the elite. This was too tragic. Many of these geniuses died with their eyes wide open, unable to rest in peace. The two girls felt sorrow in their hearts. It was too tragic. Some of the geniuses of these countries had actually lost their lives here. The fox mourns the death of the hare. Qin Feng glanced at the corpses. Among the corpses, most of them were from All Stars College. The only ones from Demon Temple were the young girls. It seems like these people ran into quite a number of Demon Temple's experts and were killed by them. Qin Feng's face was expressionless. His eyes scanned the area as he quietly arrived at the top of the hill. Ding ding dang dang. The sound of weapons clashing came from the other side of the hillside, followed by screams. With light footsteps, Qin Feng looked down from a high vantage point. At this time, 5 or 6 young men and women were being besieged by more than a dozen demonic Demon Temple experts. Its senior sister Long and the others. Suddenly, a surprised voice came from behind Qin Feng. Qin Feng looked at Yi Qinghua inquiringly. Yi Qinghua frowned as she looked at the 6 young men and women who were in imminent danger. Senior sister Long Longer is the princess of Baiming. She is also one of the few experts of the Sky Sea Pavilion. Apart from our big sister Lin Fei and second sister Xuelian, she is ranked 3rd. Her northern underworld heavy water divine ability is very powerful. Qin Feng noticed the young girl that Yi Qinghua was talking about. Long Longer's footwork was light and nimble. Her every movement had an aura that was close to the unity of heaven and man. She had mastered a strange divine ability. With a wave of her hand, it was like a flowing river that evolved into a northern underworld Kuanping. No one dared to approach her. She had withstood 5 heavenly serpent race experts of the same level by herself. In addition, there was a young man in white who seemed to be 13 or 14 years old. He wore a white robe and had a calm expression. However, his foundation was very good. It was as if all the spiritual energy in the world had gathered on this young man. There was a faint, unfathomable feeling about this young man, like the ancient stars. This was a kind of indifference. He ignored the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Without fear and other emotions, the common people were like ants in his eyes. Every time he swung his sword, it carried a sword essence that could kill all living things. There were 3 experts of the White Tiger race working together to deal with him. However, it seemed that they were not strong enough. The 3 experts of the White Tiger race retreated step by step. Who is he? Qin Feng landed on this young man. Although this young man's realm was the lowest, only in the first secret realm of the Meridian's condensation stage, he gave Qin Feng a very familiar feeling. He felt that he had seen him somewhere before. Not only was the young man's face familiar, but Qin Feng was also very familiar with the young man's sword technique. It was very similar to a very familiar sword technique in Qin Feng's mind. The more Qin Feng looked at it, the more similar it seemed. Although there were some differences, the sword essence was very familiar. Lifeless sword Dao, this is definitely the lifeless sword Dao. Isn't this lifeless sword Dao the direct inheritance of the lifeless sword sect, one of the 10 branches of the devil Dao a million years in the future? Could this guy have the same origin as me? Roaring in his heart, Qin Feng's eyes revealed a look of disbelief. Yi Qinghua looked at Qin Feng strangely. This black-robed young man had always had a transcendent state of mind. How could he have such a big emotional fluctuation? Yi Qinghua said. He is Zhang Xian, a strange person. It is said that he has no relatives or friends. Our 10 battle teams tried to rope him in, but this person rejected all of us. Junior brother Qin Feng, you better not get close to him. There was once someone who wanted to befriend him, but that person paid the price and was cut off by him. It's actually him, lifeless sword Zhang Xian. Hearing the name from Yi Qinghua's mouth, Qin Feng's pupils shrank slightly. Qin Feng was very familiar with this name. Lifeless sword Zhang Xian, the founding master of the lifeless sword sect, one of the 10 lineages of diabolism, a million years later. No wonder he was so familiar with him. Qin Feng had once snuck into the lifeless sword sect to secretly learn swordsmanship. He had seen this person's portrait in the founding master hall. However, the portrait in the founding master hall was more solemn and solemn. It was far from the youthfulness of this 13-year-old young man in front of him. Qin Feng's throat moved slightly. This was another famous person in the legends. This person was famous for being ruthless. He was the king of assassins in the diabolism. According to the legends, there was a super sect in the continent that had offended him and was assassinated by him for hundreds of years. He had assassinated everyone in the sect, from the ordinary disciples to the grand elders. He had even assassinated the ancestral master. This super first-rate force of the continent had been reduced to a mere kitten. It was even rumored that before this person attained Tao, he had successfully assassinated a real demon god. Qin Feng called himself the second demon ancestor, but in fact, this person was the real second demon ancestor. Lifeless sword sect, the second diabolism. According to the legends, this person had also attained Tao as a demon god and disappeared from the Spirit Sea continent. He had never thought that this person would be in the same class as him in the Star Academy. Qin Feng took a deep breath. At this moment, he swept his gaze and unexpectedly saw a familiar person. Chapter 269. Yu Yao. Qin Feng's expression was strange. Qin Feng saw this woman among a pile of corpses in the distance. Her face was stained with blood, and there was a huge wound on her body. It seemed that she had been killed by the experts of the demon temple. This woman is pretending to be dead. Qin Feng's gaze was strange, and there was a hint of a smile in his eyes. Although this woman had used a strange technique to hide her aura and even her vitality, Qin Feng had discovered this mystery. Qin Feng had left a mark on Yu Yao's but with a secret technique. Through this mark, Qin Feng could feel that Yu Yao's body was surrounded by a deathly aura, but her insides were full of vitality. Junior sister Yu Yao is also dead. Following Qin Feng's gaze, Yi Qinghua was slightly startled, and then there was a look of pity. Although Yu Hong was only at the peak of level 6 of the martial path, she was good at handling internal affairs. This girl's ability was very strong, and she handled all kinds of complicated matters in the Sky Sea Pavilion in an orderly manner. In the Sky Sea Pavilion, many experts had a good impression of Yu Yao. Yi Qinghua also looked regretful. Too many geniuses had died in this Hidden Dragon Points competition. Hearing this, Qin Feng's lips curled into a cold smile, but he did not expose her. Qin Feng's gaze fell on the experts who were besieging the hillside, and his gaze gradually became serious. Among the experts from the Demon Temple, there were 3 who were the strongest. One of them was a woman from the heavenly snake clan. This woman's face was beautiful, and the corners of her mouth were purplish-black. There was a trace of viciousness on her beautiful face. At this moment there was a ball of terrifying green poisonous flame burning in her hand. This was a strange spiritual fire. Qin Feng had seen Lu Han use it in the snow domain trial. This was a ball of aquamarine poisonous flame. This spiritual fire was cold and poisonous, and it had the power to corrode. There were many corpses on the ground, and their bodies were pockmarked with purplish-black intertwining. This was clearly the work of this woman. This woman from the heavenly snake race was besieging Long Ling. Her mind was exceptionally vicious as she specifically targeted Long Ling-er's face, causing Long Ling-er to be extremely fearful. The other expert was an expert from the White Tiger Royal race. He looked to be about 15 or 16 years old, and there was an awe-inspiring air between his brows. He had a pair of snow-white wings on his back, and his physique was tall. There was an aura around him that could cut through all living things. This was the White Tiger Royal race's innate aged metal divine ability. This divine ability could corrode swords and sabers, turning them into incomparably sharp aged metal sword light. The White Tiger Royal race's divine ability was a natural counter to swords and sabers. If they fought with swords and sabers, they would be easily countered and killed. In All Stars College, Qin Feng had once encountered a martial artist who had grasped the aged metal divine ability. Jin Xiaowang's White Sovereign Golden Monarch slash was abnormally strong, but compared to this one, it was like a child compared to an adult. Qin Feng felt an abnormally strong pressure from this White Tiger Royal family youth. Qin Feng's eyes were filled with eagerness to fight. Qin Feng had a desire to immediately make a move. Qin Feng had just condensed the heaven and earth seed, and he needed an expert to temper this heaven and earth seed. He needed to break through his limits in the midst of life and death to condense the extreme Tao heaven and earth seed. In the next moment, Qin Feng suppressed this desire. Zhang Xian was very strong, especially his sword Tao. The lifeless sword Tao was the strongest assassination sword. As the saying went, the number of Dian was 50, but only one. There must be a thread of life in heaven and earth, and the lifeless sword Tao was a sword technique that cut off this thread of life. It forcefully defied the heavens and used a killing move to extinguish all life in heaven and earth, cutting off this thread of life. This White Tiger Royal race expert couldn't hurt Zhang Xian, unless he could break Zhang Xian's elusive instant kill technique. Qin Feng's gaze landed on this White Tiger Royal race expert. If he encountered this White Tiger Royal race expert, Qin Feng was confident that he could kill this White Tiger Royal race expert within 100 moves. The last expert was an ape race expert. This was a giant mountain ape with a majestic physique. His body was shrouded in an earthy yellow aura, and every move of his was filled with a terrifying aura. The giant mountain ape was a spirit of the earth, and his bloodline contained the mountain demon god's bloodline divine power. He could mobilize the power of the earth, and every move of his carried a gravitational force field. This ape race expert was assisting 6 or 7 demon temple experts in besieging the other 4 All-Stars College geniuses, vowing to kill all of them. Surrender, you bunch of ants and mice. This time, you won't be able to escape this calamity. All-Stars College experts must die, and our All-Stars College is destined to be stepped on by our demon temple. Surrender and become slaves of my savage temple, and I'll spare your lives. With a loud roar, the giant mountain ape's fist pounded the earth, and a formless energy burst out. With a bang, a youth holding a blade was struck in the back, spitting out a mouthful of blood. His internal organs had suffered heavy injuries. This was one of the profound mysteries of the earth vein profound. Surrender? Don't even think about it. You bunch of shameless animals want me, Lin Jiqiu, to surrender? Keep dreaming. The youth with the blade stood up and sneered. If you have the guts, come fight me, your grandpa, one-on-one. Ignorant two-legged sheep. Since you don't want to be a slave, I'll eat you. The giant mountain ape's 10-meter-tall true body roared. With a wave of his hand, rolling boulders several hundred jin in weight condensed in his hand and flew at Lin Jiqiu. This was the giant mountain ape race's innate ability, earth manipulation. Lin Jiqiu's face paled as he leaped away like a nimble monkey. Rumble! The earth shook. This is bad. The demon temple has the advantage in numbers. Although Long Ling, and Zhang Xian can hold on for a while, the other four won't be able to last much longer. Thinking to himself, Qin Feng glanced at Yi Qinghua and Jiang Binger, who were eager to give it a try. Although I don't want to meddle in other people's business, I can use this opportunity to form a good relationship with the lifeless sword master. I heard that the second demon ancestor doesn't care about good or evil, and even killed his disciples. However, he cares about karma. If I form a good relationship with him, I might be able to get a strong helper in the future. As these thoughts flashed through his mind, Jiang Binger's voice came to his ears. Senior brother Qin Feng, let's go. The senior sisters won't be able to hold on for much longer. Yi Qinghua also looked at Qin Feng with a probing gaze. Qin Feng nodded. Qin Feng stood up and pointed at the four young men and women who were being beaten by the giant mountain ape. Let's kill that big monkey first. The four junior brothers won't be able to hold on for much longer. We'll take care of that stinky monkey in the shortest time possible and then help senior sister Long Ling, or kill that heavenly serpent tribe Demoness. Alright, junior brother Qin Feng. My greenwood superpower can restrain this earth attribute savage beast. I'll sneak up on that giant mountain ape and use the spirit-devouring vine to trap that big monkey. Junior brother, you take the opportunity to kill that ape. That damn monkey is too arrogant. Let me kill it. Maybe my little Ling will be able to advance another level and become a 7-colored spirit-devouring flower after devouring its blood essence. After saying that, Yi Qinghua instantly appeared behind the defenseless giant mountain ape. She intertwined her fingers and quickly formed a seal. A black spirit vine as thick as a child's arm burst out of the ground and wrapped around the giant mountain ape like a python. Qin Feng's eyes lit up. Yi Qinghua was a godly teammate. In the next moment, Qin Feng rushed out like a dragon from the 9th heaven. In midair, he unsheathed the northern underworld godly water sword with a clang. Qin Feng flew out and slashed out with his sword. With a faint sword light, the giant mountain ape only had time to turn around. Immediately, a huge head was cut off by the sword light and soared into the sky. Chapter 270. The four young men and the group of experts from the Demon Temple were dumbfounded as they watched this scene unfold all of a sudden. The giant mountain ape died just like that? Qin Feng's gaze locked onto the other giant mountain ape, which was still in a daze. Qin Feng's figure flashed, and in half a breath's time, he appeared beside the giant mountain ape. The dark north godly water sword slashed out, and the sharp sword edge cut the giant mountain ape in half. Poochie! Hot blood rushed out, and the group of experts woke up as if they were in a dream. The four geniuses of All Stars College were overjoyed, but more than that, they were confused. This was an elite ape in the third secret realm of the pulse condensation stage. The experts from the Demon Temple gnashed their teeth in anger. Two angry roars sounded, and a strong wind blew. Two giant apes rushed towards Qin Feng, and the other rushed towards Yi Qinghua. The one rushing towards Yi Qinghua was a red explosive ape. The red explosive ape was an upper-level ape that grasped the power of fire. This red explosive ape was very cunning, and he knew that Yi Qinghua cultivated the green wood true power. Red fire countered green wood. The other one was an iron-armed silver ape. This iron-armed silver ape had a copper head and iron bones, and was also one of the upper-level apes. The iron-armed silver ape's speed was very fast, and in a blink of an eye, it was 100 steps away from Qin Feng. Don't even think about sneak attacking. Among the 4 All-Stars College experts, Lin Jiqiu was the first to see the iron-armed silver ape that wanted to sneak attack. He raised his long saber and rushed forward, slashing at the iron-armed silver ape. With one slash, Lin Jiqiu slashed out 3 tornadoes. Get lost! The iron-armed silver ape was furious. Its ape arm swung out and a violent spiritual power swept out, instantly breaking the 3 tornadoes. Bang! Lin Jiqiu's figure flew out, and he crashed onto the ground with his saber. He spat out a mouthful of blood and almost fainted. Delivering food. Qin Feng was a little speechless. Who asked him to rush over? After sending Lin Jiqiu flying with a slap, the iron-armed silver ape grinned nastily and charged towards Qin Feng. He used the same trick again and swung his arms, enveloping Qin Feng's whole body. This move is useless against me. Qin Feng sneered. In his 6th perception, the gaps between the ape's palms were filled with flaws. Qin Feng's figure flashed like a ghost and appeared behind the steel-armed silver ape, slashing with the North Underworld godly water sword. The iron-armed silver ape's reaction speed was also extremely fast. Sensing Qin Feng's appearance, it abruptly gathered all of its spiritual energy on its back, like a shield. Qin Feng sneered. His entire body's vast star-true power poured into the northern underworld godly water sword. Like a hot knife cutting through butter, it easily split the steel arm's ape monkey's spiritual energy shield. The remaining power didn't stop there, and split the steel arm's ape monkey into 2. Using spiritual energy to block my tidal extinction 6 sword? You must be dreaming. Copper skin and iron bones were nothing in front of the dark north godly water sword. Qin Feng sneered as his gaze fell on the scarlet explosive ape. Yi Qinghua cultivated the greenwood true power, which was somewhat restrained by the scarlet explosive ape. The jet-black spirit-devouring vine was very afraid of flames, especially the scarlet explosive ape's life origin scarlet flame. This spirit vine seemed to be somewhat restricted. Qin Feng held the northern underworld godly water sword and rushed over. Roar! Seeing Qin Feng rushing over, the scarlet explosive ape let out a crazy roar. Its spiritual energy erupted, and a scarlet flame swept over. Wherever it passed, the 3 All-Stars College experts scattered like birds. This scarlet flame's temperature was too high. It could simply melt gold and iron. Qin Feng's expression did not change. As the high temperature rushed over, Qin Feng's 8 Desolation Immortal Mystic technique automatically operated. Qin Feng turned into a black light and rushed into the flames. The sword light slashed, and the scarlet explosive ape's 10-meter-tall true body condensed. In the next moment it exploded and blood spurted out. What the F***ck? The 3 young experts of the Celestial Academy looked at this scene, and their eyeballs almost popped out. He actually ignored the scarlet explosive ape's life origin ability. Yi Qinghua's eyes were filled with shock. With a flash of his body, Qin Feng appeared 100 steps away. His body was surrounded by a scarlet flame. This scarlet flame could burn anything. It was able to convert matter into the purest heaven and earth yuan qi and burn it. Qin Feng's skin felt some pain. He raised his hand, and a scarlet flame surrounded his body. Some of his skin had already started to fester. Slightly frowning, Qin Feng operated the 8 Desolation Immortal Mystic technique. A stream of essence qi poured into his skin, and his skin started to regenerate at a visible speed. However, the scarlet flame was extremely tenacious. It started to burn his skin again, and even smelt his flesh. Qin Feng's flesh melted piece by piece, and a wave of intense pain came. His clothes were melting, his hair was burning, and even his scalp was melting. There were even bloody holes on his face. All kinds of pain rushed into his mind, but Qin Feng remained expressionless. Interesting. This scarlet explosive ape's life origin scarlet flame actually has such destructive power. However, if it wants to refine my flesh, I'm afraid it's not enough. On the contrary, I can use this flame to temper my flesh, bones, and skin." Qin Feng's eyes flashed. The 8 Desolation Immortal Mystic technique would become stronger when facing a strong opponent. Every time he survived a calamity, as long as he didn't die, he would transform once. Qin Feng's flesh was being tempered rapidly in this kind of rebirth and destruction. A layer of faint silver light surged up continuously, refining the scarlet flame. After half a quarter of an hour, the scarlet flame on Qin Feng's body was completely refined. His skin was regenerated, and it looked like a piece of beautiful jade. Under the sunlight, it revealed a trace of 7-colored luster. On top of his head, Qin Feng's hair grew out again. The rich essence qi in his body nourished it, and each strand of hair was like a small dragon. After refining my flesh, bones, and tendons, there are some changes. Qin Feng could clearly feel that after being refined by the scarlet flame, his flesh had become even more tyrannical. As the wind blew, Qin Feng felt a chill on his body. Qin Feng took a glance and realized that he was running naked. Yi Qinghua and Jiang Binger happened to be looking at him. Qin Feng raised his head and glanced at the 2 girls. The 2 girls blushed and snorted inwardly. They quickly turned around and charged towards the other Demon Temple's experts. Qin Feng didn't care. He took out a set of clothes prepared by the Jade Sea Heaven and Earth and changed into them. Holding the North Nether Divine Water Sword, he charged towards the Heavenly Snake clanswomen besieging Long Ling. Seeing Qin Feng charging towards them, the 5 Heavenly Snake Clan's experts besieging Long Linger were shocked. This fierce man was actually charging towards them. Just now, Qin Feng had killed the Ape Clan's experts like chopping vegetables and melons. The Heavenly Snake Clan's experts had seen this clearly. 2 Heavenly Snake Clan's experts rushed out, and they had made up their minds to entangle Qin Feng. They wanted to create an opportunity for the Heavenly Snake Clan's experts to kill Long Linger first. Exchanging a glance, the 2 Heavenly Snake Clan's experts let out a loud shout. A pitch-black dragon snake appeared around them, wriggling like a dragon. Broken Soul Beak. This was a divine ability, refined by gathering the essence of the 5 poisons of heaven and earth. Black light filled the sky, enveloping Qin Feng. The thick black light seemed to corrode even the air. "You want to stop me with just the 2 of you?" Qin Feng sneered. Holding the North Nether Divine Water Sword, he slashed out the 6th sword of the Chaos Tide Extinction. Unparalleled sword light tore through the sky. The vast sword light was like a rolling tide, covering the entire sky. Ah! The sword light tore through 2 streaks of poisonous light and slashed one of the Heavenly Snake Clan's experts. In front of the Heavenly Snake Clan's experts' incredulous eyes, his body was cut in half. So strong! From afar, Yi Qinghua's beautiful eyes widened. She felt a terrifying sword aura sweeping across heaven and earth like a tide. This kind of majestic sword intent made the spirit-devouring vine tremble in fear. Chapter 271. Qin Feng's foundation was too tyrannical. Innate mixed element unity law, number 1 in Qi, number 1 in foundation. Qin Feng's mixed element star true Qi was like a vast galaxy. This kind of surging star true Qi was like an ocean. In terms of true Qi, Qin Feng's mixed element true Qi was at least 10 times, no, 20 times more than the average pulse condensation period elite. In addition, there was the superposition principle of the mixed element tidal extinction 6th sword. With such a sword light, not to mention a mere pulse condensation period 2nd realm Heaven Snake Clan elite, even a 3rd or 4th realm pulse condensation period elite would have to cover their heads and flee. He's so strong, even my clan's innate ability can be cut open with 1 sword. The remaining Heaven Snake Clan elite was shocked, fear in his eyes. With a swoosh, this Heaven Snake Clan elite turned around and ran. Qin Feng sneered, holding the north deep godly water sword, and a silver-white sword light blasted out. Dozens of feet away, the escaping Heaven Snake Clan elite's pupils suddenly bulged, and in an instant, he was split into two, turning into a bloody light and exploding. So fast! The Heaven Snake Clan's female elite had been paying attention to Qin Feng. She originally wanted to send 2 Heaven Snake Clan elites to delay this person, but she didn't expect that this black-robed youth would kill them with 2 sword moves. The Heaven Snake Clan's female elite had a bad feeling. Not good, this human expert who suddenly appeared is too strong. His true power is simply inconceivable, but he is obviously only at the 13th heavenly layer of the martial path. Could it be that he is a monstrous genius of the Myriad Star Academy? The Heaven Snake Clan's female elite's face changed color. Monstrous geniuses were often the most terrifying because they had all kinds of unimaginable abilities. Monstrous beyond common sense. Breaking the rules. The Heaven Snake Clan's female elite wanted to retreat. This kind of monstrous existence was not something an ordinary elite could fight against. Of the 36 stratagems, retreat is the best strategy. I'm not his opponent, but my Heaven Snake Clan also has monstrous geniuses. This child is still weak. If he can attract an elite to kill him, that would be a great contribution. Just as the Heaven Snake Clan's female elite was thinking, the situation on the battlefield changed. After Qin Feng killed the Demon Temple's elites, the situation on the battlefield had changed. The geniuses of All Stars College were originally at an absolute disadvantage, but now the situation had reversed. On the contrary, the Demon Temple began to sink into a bad situation. We must kill him. In the distance, among the 3 White Tiger Royal Clan experts, the White Tiger Clan expert stared at Qin Feng. This race's White Tiger powerhouse also sensed that something was amiss. You two hold this guy back and buy me some time. I'll go kill that black robe. This White Tiger Royal powerhouse quietly transmitted his voice to the other 2 of his race. Without making a sound, he turned into a streak of white light and appeared behind Qin Feng. Clang! It was as if Qin Feng had eyes on the back of his head. His dark north godly water sword blocked a pair of snow-white claws that could tear through iron. Qin Feng's arm went numb. The strength of the White Tiger Royal race was extremely tyrannical, as expected of an expert from the White Tiger Royal family. This White Tiger true power is truly sharp to the extreme. Qin Feng felt some pain on his skin. It was as if there was an incomparably sharp aura shooting out, wanting to sever his arm. A loud bang was heard. His wings spread out like a streak of white light. The White Tiger Royal race youth retreated 100 steps. The youth with wings was expressionless, but his 5 fingers were in intense pain. The youth was secretly shocked. Such tyrannical true power. His true power is like the galaxy in the sky. It's thick to an unheard of realm. My pulse condensation 3rd realm strength clashed with him, and I'm actually at a disadvantage. However, the density of true power far surpasses the pulse condensation realm, but that doesn't mean that his true battle strength surpasses the pulse condensation realm. The reason why the pulse condensation realm is called the pulse condensation realm is because regardless of speed, realm, or vision, it is not something that the 13 heavens of the martial path can compare to. So what if he's a monster? Today I will personally kill one. With a cold smile in his eyes, the White Tiger Royal youth let out a furious roar. Hundreds and thousands of white rays condensed around his body, turning into sharp white awls that pierced through the air and shot towards Chuli. This was the White Tiger God slaying slash. The White Tiger Royal race youth had crawled in the extreme west for 3 years. He had absorbed the essence of the aged gold vein to create this ability. There were a total of 36 White Tiger God slaying awls. They exploded like a storm. So. Qin Feng's figure rapidly changed in 100 feet. He made all sorts of miraculous and dangerous dodges. Qin Feng displayed some of his abilities. This was not his limit. These were only some of the martial skills that he had cultivated in his previous life. If he broke through to the pulse condensation realm, his previous life's pulse condensation realm cultivation would also appear in his body. His previous life would fuse with his current life. His martial skills would fuse together, and his strength would rise by a dozen times. Seeing Qin Feng dodge the 36 white tiger gods slaying alls, the white tiger royal race youth's face became dignified. The strength of a monstrous genius was beyond imagination. But he did not panic. Although Qin Feng's battle strength was high, he had great confidence that he could kill this child in one move. His face revealed a sneer. He was in midair, his wings flapping. He said condescendingly, "Human brat, how does this white tiger god slaying all taste? You killed the 3 of us. Later, I will personally cut you into 3 pieces. 30 pieces to avenge myself." Qin Feng's figure flashed and appeared 100 steps away. Qin Feng's gaze was indifferent. I was wondering why the air was so smelly. So someone ran to the sky to fart. Did he think that he could act cool in the sky because he had wings? The corner of Qin Feng's mouth curled up into a cold smile. He raised a hand and pointed out. Dark Thunder Finger. This was an advanced stage, spiritual martial force technique. Qin Feng had learned it from his previous life. This time, he had cultivated the star genuine force. When he pointed out his finger, it was as if a Milky Way heavenly thunder had broken through the sky. This white tiger elite warrior was abnormally strong. He tilted his head, and in that instant, a silver light brushed past his cheek. His cheeks were burning. Was it bleeding? It was disfigured. A fierce light flashed in the eyes of the white tiger royal race youth. The power in his entire body crazily surged. The aura on his body rose by 2 levels in an instant. His entire body turned into a huge silver weapon and slashed down. Junior brother, be careful. This is the white tiger royal race's weapon transformation technique. It is an extremely high-quality mysterious divine ability. It can temporarily turn one's body into a divine weapon that can destroy everything. Yi Qinghua's anxious voice came. Yi Qinghua's expression was frightened. This weapon transformation technique could only be used by the White Tiger Royal Race's Emperor Realm geniuses. This White Tiger elite had hidden his strength very well. This was a Demon Temple's true monstrous elite. Weapon transformation technique? It's actually the White Tiger Royal Race, pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Qin Feng cursed in his heart. His scalp went numb. A terrifying pressure of death appeared in his heart. The dense aura of death covered the sky like dark clouds covering a cauldron. Qin Feng's body shifted. The space around him seemed to be locked by a divine weapon. Around him, there was an endless amount of golden energy pouring down. His skin produced countless sparks. It made the sound of metal clashing. The 8 Desolation Immortal Mysterious technique was activated to the extreme. Qin Feng took a deep breath. His mind was fully focused. A formless mysterious energy appeared. Chapter 272. In the face of life and death, Qin Feng's mind was taut like a full bow. The surging origin star true qi in his body poured into the dark north godly water soared like a river of stars. The dark north godly water soared in his palm exploded with a formless light. Rumble. It was as if he could hear the sound of tides surging. The dark north godly water sword started to stack layers of origin waves. The first wave surged, and the second wave pushed the first wave to a peak. The third wave, the fourth wave, the fifth wave, and the sixth wave. Qin Feng activated it with all his might. It was as if he had surpassed a bottleneck. Under this extreme pressure, the 6 huge waves merged into one and surged into the dark north godly water sword. Qin Feng's mind seemed to have seen countless waves fusing together, transforming into a towering tidal wave. So the huge waves can merge like this. Qin Feng's eyes revealed a hint of understanding. He grasped a rhythm that he had neglected in the past. The surging of the tides was not just a superposition, but also a fusion of power. This was the true profundity of tides. The seed of heaven and earth in Qin Feng's dantian lit up. The silver light was like a real tide. A majestic power far beyond imagination appeared in the dark north godly water sword. Qin Feng's eyes emitted a formless mystery. He raised his head and faced the sharp blade above his head. He waved his arm and slashed out explosively. The unparalleled sword light was like a vast river of stars. When the sword light slashed out, it was as if the Milky Way was unfolding, and huge waves surged into the sky. Bang! Under the incredulous gazes of all the experts, this river of stars slashed horizontally at the waist of the White Tiger royal clan's young emperor, who had turned into a weapon. Gotcha! Everyone heard the sound of metal breaking jade. The unparalleled sword light swept past the center of the young emperor's weapon and cut this young king into two. Poochie, the blood light burst. This White Tiger royal clan's emperor's bloodline started to split from his waist. His vitality was abnormally strong, and he did not die immediately. He looked at the black-robed youth in a daze, his face full of bitterness. He was originally the illegitimate son of the current White Tiger royal clan's emperor. He had originally participated in this siege to shock the world with a single feat. From then on, he would obtain the resources of the clan and soar into the sky. Who would have thought that he would die here before he could witness the rise of the celestial sect? What a majestic sword intent! What a vigorous Yentian true force! But I'm not willing. If I had exposed the news of my emperor's blood awakening earlier, I would have been able to obtain the White Tiger royal clan's inherited secret technique. I wouldn't have lost. I won't lose. The young king let out a furious roar as his body exploded, turning into a ball of bloody light that shot into the sky. When the experts from the demon temple saw this, their throats became dry. Dead. A White Tiger royal who possessed the bloodline of an emperor was actually killed. As experts of the demon temple, no one knew better than them how powerful the sovereign bloodline was. However, such a savage genius had actually died at the hands of a weak human. Dozens of feet away, Zhang Xian killed 2 White Tiger royalty with 2 strikes. His gaze fell on Qin Feng. What a terrifying physique! What a majestic sword intent! His sword intent and my lifeless killing sword are 2 extremes. Zhang Xian narrowed his eyes as he pondered. However, his sword intent has a huge flaw. Although its power is boundless, it requires a period of time to accumulate power. This is a huge flaw. If someone were to grasp it, they might be able to kill him. Furthermore, although this person's true power is boundless and terrifying, he is broad but not refined. He is unable to return 10,000 techniques to one and refine them into one. Furthermore, he is still lingering on a few origin paths. This is also a weakness. If I have the chance, I have 70% confidence that I can kill him. After killing the White Tiger royalty youth with 1 strike, Qin Feng's face was devoid of joy. He raised one hand, which was full of fine bloody scars, as if he had been slashed countless times by a long sword. Qin Feng's face was expressionless. He raised his leg and took a step forward. Traces of flesh and blood appeared on his face as blood seeped out. He looked like a teapot full of fine cracks. His entire body looked as if it was about to be torn apart. Qin Feng's skin, as well as the flesh under his skin, were all cut off by that terrifying blade qi. Qin Feng looked unscathed, but in reality, that terrifying blade qi had cut his skin into pieces. There were still countless fine blade qi attacking his meridians and seeping into his internal organs. If it was an ordinary person, they would have already been cut into pieces by the blade qi. Qin Feng used 8 Desolation, immortal mysterious technique to forcefully refine the countless blade qi that were like loaches in his body. A stream of 7-star dragon spring water from Jade Sea heaven and earth entered his body, like a clear stream flowing into his life source. His destroyed meridians could be seen regenerating as his flesh and blood took root and sprouted on his bones. Some of the blade chi that seeped into his body was forcefully refined by 8 desolation, immortal mysterious technique, and turned into nutrients to nourish his body. Pieces of dead flesh and old skin fell from his body. It was abnormally terrifying. His aura was recovering rapidly, like a ferocious tiger that had just awakened. Some demon temple experts looked at the black-robed youth like tigers eyeing their prey. However, even though they knew that this youth might be injured, they did not dare to approach. Some demon temple experts saw that the situation was not good and prepared to flee. However, they were ruthlessly blocked by Yi Qinghua, Lin Jiqiu, and the others. The situation on the battlefield had completely reversed. The group of All-Stars College geniuses that had been suppressed for a long time were like fierce tigers released from their cages, beginning to surround and kill the demon temple experts. Qin Feng did not pay attention to the situation on the battlefield, allowing All-Stars College to slaughter as they pleased. Qin Feng sat down cross-legged, circulating 8 desolation, immortal mysterious technique, to recover from his injuries. Although his injuries were serious this time, they were all flesh wounds, so his injuries quickly recovered. Qin Feng's thoughts were now mostly focused on the heaven and earth seed in his body. After experiencing this life and death battle, Qin Feng began to be vigilant, paying attention to some of the flaws in his body. Qin Feng had already noticed these flaws when he broke through to the 13th heavenly layer of the martial path, but because of the limited time, he did not examine them in detail. This time, Qin Feng had almost lost his life because of this. Thinking about the battle with the White Tiger royal family youth, Qin Feng shook his head and thought inwardly. In the end, I'm still a little lacking compared to a monstrous existence. Although my foundation is abnormally strong because of the innate chaotic unity chi, the origin of this heaven and earth seed is too mixed. The power of the sea, the power of the stars, the power of calamities, the power of slaughter, and all kinds of other powers seem to have a huge origin, but in reality, it's just a plate of loose sand, unable to display its true strength. At most, I can only display half of my strength. Qin Feng's eyes were filled with dissatisfaction. If he could fuse all the power of the heaven and earth seed into one furnace, he would not have been in danger this time. If he could truly fuse all the power into one furnace, turning it into the power of the stars, Qin Feng would be able to kill this White Tiger royal family expert with a single strike. It seems like I have to find a way to absorb all the other powers, only then can I purify the origin and walk on the true martial path. I have to display my full strength. Qin Feng's heaven and earth seed now had 9 holes and 8 apertures. Although this strange heaven and earth seed was far stronger than ordinary high-grade heaven and earth seeds, in reality, it was still half a step away from the extreme Tao heaven and earth seed. Qin Feng guessed that the true extreme Tao heaven and earth seed had 9 holes and 9 apertures, obtaining the number of extreme Tao. It's a pity that time waits for no one. Otherwise, with my realm, after returning to All-Stars College and cultivating for a few months, I will definitely be able to refine this heaven and earth seed into a true extreme Tao heaven and earth seed. However, it's not like there's no way now. Chapter 273. If he couldn't grind, there was only one last method left. Using life and death as a furnace to nurture the supreme battle fetus. Using battle to nurture battle. The collision between life and death was the best catalyst and the best forging hammer. There was great terror between life and death. In the face of life and death, a martial artist's potential would be released to the greatest extent. However, this method was extremely cruel. If one was not careful, they might really die. After recovering from his injuries, Qin Feng stood up and looked up. At this time, there was only one battle left at the bottom of the hill. Long Ling was suppressing the heavenly snake clan woman. On the side, lifeless sword Zhang Xian, Yi Qinghua, Lin Jiqiu, and the others were supporting the formation, surrounding the woman. At this time, a slightly surprised voice came to his ears. "Senior brother Qin Feng, you're awake. Your injuries?" "Just a small injury, no problem." Qin Feng looked up. The white-clothed girl was protecting him. Jiang Binger's beautiful eyes revealed a trace of splendor. They had all seen Qin Feng's previous injuries. Such a serious injury, but he had recovered in a short time. At this time, the heavenly snake clan woman had reached the end of her life. Long Ling strength was extremely tyrannical, and the water attribute Northern Darkness divine ability was extremely effective against the heavenly snake clan's poisonous flames. Long Ling sword light slashed. Just as the heavenly snake clan woman was about to dodge, her ankle was silently entangled by a black spirit vine as thick as an arm. The clear sword light slashed like a wave, and the heavenly snake clan woman was split into two with a bang. The nearly 20 demon temple experts present all bowed their head. Several All-Stars College experts saw Qin Feng walk over, and there was a trace of surprise in their eyes. There was respect and fear in their eyes. "How should I address you, senior brother? If it weren't for senior brother's help this time, I'm afraid all of us would have died here." Long Ling looked at Qin Feng, natural and unrestrained. Glancing at the valiant Long Ling Qin Feng cupped his hands and smiled. "Senior sister Long is too polite. I'm Qin Feng. So it's the Azure Dragon Chief. No wonder he has such means." A weird light flashed across the corner of Long Ling's eyes. "He's that junior martial brother Qin Feng whom senior martial sister Xuelian can't forget. As expected, he's formidable. No wonder he's able to defend the Azure Dragon Institute's first seat. I heard that half a year ago, he was only at the 8th heavenly layer of the martial path. In just half a year, he broke through the 5th heavenly layer of the martial path and advanced to the 13th heavenly layer of the martial path. This kind of speed is simply shocking." After Long Ling finished greeting them, the other 5 people came forward to greet them one by one. Among the 5, Zhang Xian had a cold temperament and only nodded. There was also Lin Jiqiu, Shui Yu, Hao Yanqing, and Wang Yue. The 4 of them were all elites of their time. The 4 of them were all in the second secret realm of the Meridian's condensation period. Their auras weren't weak at all. Apart from Long Ling Zhang Xian, Yi Qinghua, and Jiang Binger, the others were more or less injured. After resting for a while, the group of people divided up the corpses. Qin Feng felt that it was a pity. The young martial emperor of the White Tiger royal family was too unyielding. He had actually self-detonated his blood essence. Qin Feng received the corpses of the 5 ape clan elite. As for the others, Long Ling Zhang Xian, and Yi Qinghua each received 3 corpses. The rest were divided equally. After absorbing the blood essence of the 5 giant apes, Qin Feng's 9th grade Red Lotus still had the appearance of a master. It seemed that the corpse of a grade 1 ape clan elite was no longer of much use to it. As for the remaining people, Long Ling received 3 corpses of the White Lotus blossoming 12th grade Red Lotus. The others didn't make much of a commotion. After cleaning up the battlefield, the group gathered together. Long Ling looked around and said, "The smell of blood is too strong right now. It's not a place to stay for long. Let's leave this place quickly." Long Ling's words weren't without reason. The commotion here was too big. If it weren't for the sea of flowers covering the smell of blood, the demon temple elites would have already found this place. "Then where should we go now? Continue to look for senior sister Xuelian?" Jiang Binger looked at Qin Feng. Qin Feng's eyes flickered as he said, "Of course. Our strength is too weak after all. It's already difficult enough to meet such a small group of elites from the demon temple. If we meet a group of 100, I'm afraid we'll be in danger. We need to find more elites from All Stars College." Qin Feng's mentality had changed. Qin Feng needed to fight. Naturally, he didn't want to be like before. He only wanted to find a few more people to set up a formation to protect himself. Long Ling and the others looked at each other. They didn't have any objections to this suggestion. With one more person, they would have more strength. They weren't willing to hide in a corner, deceive themselves, and wait for death. The group continued their search towards Zixia Peak. Not long after the group left, a black figure gradually walked out from the shadows on the ground. It was a young girl shrouded in a black robe. Shi Tong looked in the direction where the group left and muttered to herself, "Who created that formation? Was it that black-robed youth or someone else?" After saying that, Shi Tong thought to herself, "But this is good. Now that Big Brother Wushuang and my big sister are trapped, it's a good opportunity for me. As long as I can kill all these people and avenge Shiqing, I'll be able to earn Big Brother Wushuang's gratitude. Maybe I can even take this opportunity to dampen Shi Han's spirit. Shi Han, don't be too proud. I, Shi Tong, will not lose to you." Shi Tong's beautiful eyes flickered. Her black figure flashed and merged into the shadows on the ground. She silently followed Qin Feng and the others. At this time, on a huge mountain peak thousands of miles away from Zixia Peak. Around the mountain peak, experts stood resolutely. The experts from the Demon Temple gathered in front of the mountain peak, forming a huge encirclement. They sealed off a long and narrow valley at the foot of the mountain. On top of the mountain, 3 abnormally strong auras stood in the air. Around these 3 powerful auras, dozens of powerful beings who were far more powerful than Long Ling and the others were unscrupulously releasing their auras. Among them, the 3 auras in the center were the most powerful. At this time, a white tiger royal race expert with wings on his back flew down from the sky. He landed on the ground like a white light and knelt down on one knee. His gaze fell on one of the owners of the powerful auras. He lowered his head, his gaze respectful and docile. He reported in a deep voice, "Young Master, the experts from the other 9 clans just sent news. We have completely sealed off the 4 exits of the Demon Hunter Canyon. Young Master, do you want me to lead a team to search the Demon Hunter Canyon?" The 3 auras belonged to one type. One of them was as bright as the sun. He smiled lightly and waved his hand. "Not for now. The Demon Hunter Canyon's terrain is complicated. There are many places to hide. Also, rumor has it that the Demon Hunter Canyon is a sealed place in the Earth Abyss's esophagus. There's another world inside and it's very dangerous. The remaining experts from the 10 battle teams of All Stars College have all entered it. We can't be fooled. We have to gather all the experts and kill them all in one go. We can't give them a chance to attack us one by one." Chapter 274. Very good. You've done well this time. When we return to the temple, this young master will definitely ask for a reward from my father. If we can wipe out All Stars College's elites this time, the 12 of us will jointly recommend to the elders to let you enter the land of inheritance to look at the secret method. Many thanks, young master. The white tiger youth was overjoyed. After bowing, he slowly retreated. He watched as the white tiger race youth left. One of the 3 powerhouses had a grave and stern expression. He had green hair and green eyebrows. The geniuses of All Stars College are already at the end of their rope. Next, we'll let them bleed and kill them one by one. I think the elders will be very happy to see this scene. Bai Yu quietly glanced at this youth. His eyes narrowed slightly, and there was some fear in them. This expert with green hair and green eyebrows wasn't simple. Among the 12 strongest races, this race was known as the King of all trees, the Lord of the Jungle. If it wasn't for the fact that this race had very few members since ancient times, they would have already dominated the wildlands. The other black-haired youth said with a smile. This time, not only do we have to defeat All Stars College, but we also have to kill All Stars College's powerhouses. However, we have to be careful. There are quite a few powerhouses among the top 10 of All Stars College that aren't inferior to our temple's top 10 powerhouses. These people are very dangerous. We have to be careful of their counterattack. Moo Wu sneered. The powerhouses in the Demon Hunter Canyon are like turtles in a jar. As long as we have patience, we'll be able to kill them sooner or later. Bai Yu shook his head and said slowly, I'm afraid it's not that simple. Although the elders can delay All Stars College for a while, they can't hold them off for long. All Stars College has been expanding rapidly these past few years. Young powerhouses are emerging one after another. Unless our Wildlands Temple plans to go to war with All Stars College, we don't have much time left. The black-haired youth smiled eerily. Don't worry. All Stars College's people are already at the end of their rope in the Demon Hunter Canyon. They're just cornered beasts fighting. We only need to wait for the experts of the 9 royal families to arrive. Once the time is right, we'll definitely be able to kill these prodigies of All Stars College. However, there are still some stragglers in the forest. These people are hiding in the dark, playing hide and seek with us like mice. These people are a little troublesome. Mu Wu said. Gu Ling, you don't have to worry about this matter. Since we've decided to wipe out the younger generation of All Stars College, we naturally won't let any of them escape. Leave it to the experts of my race. Wonderful. Brother Mu's clan is the natural ruler of the forest, the king of all trees. Nothing in the forest can escape the eyes of the nobles. If Brother Mu can help, it would be great. I don't think those little rats in hiding know that their doomsday is coming soon. The other 2 experts smiled faintly. Mu Wu nodded slightly and looked around. Among the dozens of experts in the surroundings, his gaze landed on 3 of them. Mu Heng, Mu Song, Mu Bixin, come out. 2 men and 1 woman walked out from the dozens of experts. Young master. The 3 of them saluted in unison. Mu Wu looked at the 3 of them with slight satisfaction. The 3 of you are rare geniuses of the Mu clan, and the 3 strongest people under me. Each of you is not inferior to the so-called kings of All Stars College's top 10 battle teams. Now, it's your chance to make a contribution. Each of you will lead a team of 100 people. With this place as the center, search in the east, south, and north directions. If you find anyone from All Stars College, kill them without mercy. Yes, young master. The 3 of them looked at each other with a hint of joy in their eyes. One of the Mu clan experts smiled. Don't worry, young master. They're just some 2-legged sheep of the human race. Those weak 2-legged sheep only know how to play trick. In terms of strength, they're no match for us wilderness experts. The 3 of us will not disappoint, young master. We'll definitely dig out all the rats hiding in the forest of All Stars College and kill them all. We must not leave a single one behind. Mu Wu nodded. Very good. You can go now. The 3 of them hurried down the mountain. Subsequently, a group of several hundred people under the leadership of several Wood Tribe powerhouses searched the entire skyscraper ridge in a carpet-style manner. At the foot of a mountain 100 miles away from Zixia Peak, Qin Feng's group of 9 arrived here against the Sea of Flowers. At this time, the moon was already high in the sky. A faint black light flickered above the dark sky. The 9 of them had been on the road for a whole day and had experienced a great battle during the day. Although they still had sufficient physical strength, they were mentally exhausted. Long Ling suggested that they rest here temporarily and continue searching for traces of the snow lotus during the day. The other 8 discussed and immediately decided to rest here for a day. Qin Feng didn't mind. He was full of physical strength and didn't need to rest for a few days. However, the other All Stars College experts had been injured during the day and hadn't recovered yet. They needed time to recuperate. For these experts, traveling for a long time was still a big responsibility and might affect their condition. The 9 people found an open area and started a bonfire. The four women, Long Ling Yi Qinghua, Jiang Binger, and Wang Yu, gathered together early in the morning. The three of them whispered to each other. After a while, no one knew what they were talking about. After that, they left. Qin Feng's sixth spirit sense was unusually strong. He heard clearly that the four women were going to take a bath. These four women had been fooling around in the forest for a few days and hadn't taken a bath. They couldn't bear it anymore. On the other side, Zhang Xian was leaning against a tree coldly. He sat cross-legged and closed his eyes. His body exuded a kind of coldness that saints couldn't get close to. Lin Jiqiu brought the three of them back with a porcupine boar. Soon, the fragrance of meat floated among the living creatures. The pork was golden under the influence of Lin Jiqiu and still had a fragrant smell. It was very appetizing. Qin Feng had already given up eating meat. He took out a few spiritual fruits from the azure sea, heaven and earth, and began to eat them. Suddenly, Qin Feng raised his head and saw Lin Jiqiu looking at him eagerly. Qin Feng's heart skipped a beat and he threw a fruit to the young man. "Thank you, senior brother Qin Feng." This guy had always called Qin Feng junior brother. When he saw a spiritual fruit, he immediately called him senior brother. He had no integrity at all. The other two young men also came up. They were all young people. Although they were a little competitive, they didn't have any other thoughts. They called him senior brother, one by one. Qin Feng was not stingy. He took out a few 100-year-old Yuling fruits and threw them to them. They were overjoyed. This kind of spiritual fruit was full of spiritual qi. It was a holy object for healing. After eating one, their injuries would be healed by at least 40 to 50%. Qin Feng glanced at Zhang Xian. Qin Feng took out a 100-year-old Yuling fruit and threw it to Zhang Xian. Zhang Xian suddenly opened his eyes and looked at Qin Feng. He glanced at the Yuling fruit in his hand, swallowed it, and closed his eyes again. He had quite a personality. Qin Feng chuckled. Qin Feng found a big tree and leaned against it. He sat cross-legged and adjusted his breath with his eyes closed. Soon after, Qin Feng heard the footsteps of the four women coming back. After an unknown period of time, the bonfire in front of him gradually became cold. Suddenly, Qin Feng felt a trace of abnormality and abruptly opened his eyes. A black shadow flashed past the corner of his eyes. Qin Feng abruptly raised his head and just happened to see Shuiyu, who was leaning against an ancient tree, suddenly open his eyes. He clutched his neck and stared unwaveringly at Qin Feng for a few moments before suddenly falling to the ground, completely lifeless. There are more updates. Chapter 275. In the mountain forest, the flames in the bonfire flickered coldly in the dark. Shuiyu was dead. He died silently in front of the 8 of them. The 8 of them gathered around Shuiyu, who was lying on the ground in a pool of blood. The mountain wind whimpered as the night breeze blew over. The 8 of them felt a chill growing on their bodies. Someone ambushed him. That person was very nimble and cut off Shuiyu's throat in a split second. After inspecting Shuiyu's body, Long Linger's indifferent voice made the 8 of them even more silent. Who killed Shuiyu? Who was it that was able to kill him silently under the eyes of these 8 people? Since they could kill Shuiyu today, did that mean they could kill the others as well? A terrifying undercurrent quietly flowed between the 8 of them. Qin Feng's face was gloomy. Several hours ago, Shuiyu was still calling him senior brother. Now, he was dead in front of him. This caused a layer of fire to burn in his heart. Qin Feng recalled the black shadow that flashed by. That black shadow seemed to have blended into the sinister shade of the night and disappeared. Qin Feng's spiritual sense was powerful, so he naturally wouldn't be wrong. Could it be a shadow ability? Qin Feng's face became even more gloomy. Qin Feng knew some shadow abilities. Many martial artists who cultivated the power of darkness would cultivate some very unorthodox abilities. These unorthodox abilities were strange and hard to guard against. Let's bury him. It's just a pity for junior brother Shuiyu. Lin Jiqiu and Hao Lianqing's expressions were gloomy. The sorrow and anger in their eyes could not be concealed. The two of them had gone through thick and thin with Shuiyu. Lin Jiqiu and Hao Lianqing carried Shuiyu and dug an empty grave with their hands, burying Shuiyu. Good brother, the two of us will definitely find the murderer for you. As long as we don't die, we will take revenge for you even if we have to risk our lives. If we don't take revenge, we're not human. Qin Feng glanced at the two of them, then turned to look at the surrounding forest. Vaguely, Qin Feng's powerful spiritual sense could sense a gloomy gaze staring at them. Junior brother Qin Feng. Yi Qinghua walked over. Her beautiful face was filled with sorrow, like a fox mourning the death of a rabbit. Senior sister Yi, did you find the seven-colored spiritual vine? Yi Qinghua's spirit-devouring vine had evolved after devouring the blood essence of a few demons from the demon temple. The rainbow spirit vine was very powerful and was the spirit of the green wood. This spirit root already had some intelligence and was more sensitive to changes in the environment. It could control many plants. Tonight, the seven-colored spirit vine was on guard duty. He believed that with the ability of the seven-colored spirit vine, it should be able to find something. To Qin Feng's surprise, Yi Qinghua actually shook her head. Xiao Ling said that there were no special people or beasts around. There were also no poisonous insects or gas that could pose a threat to us. It seems that the person who made the move in the dark is really extraordinary. He could even hide from the seven-colored spiritual vine. The eight of them sat in silence and waited until dawn. The next day, they continued to rush towards Zixia Peak. However, since Shuiyu's death, the team was much quieter and more vigilant. In the forest, the eight of them unexpectedly met a couple. It was a man and a woman. When they met them, the two of them were hiding in a bear cave. When Qin Feng and the rest found them, they were almost attacked. The two of them ran out of the bear cave in tattered clothes like savages. According to their own names, the man was called Yi Quan and the woman was called Lu Yuhan. They were both experts from previous batches and belonged to the Moon Battle Team, one of the top 10 battle teams. Qin Feng did not like the two of them. The reason was that the two of them were not very observant. Ever since they caught the eight of them, they kept trying to get close to Long Longer. They also kept encouraging Long Longer, trying to make Long Longer the temporary leader of the team. Towards Qin Feng, who was at the 13th heavenly layer of the martial path, he often looked askance. On the hill, Qin Feng watched Yi Quan and Lu Yuhan go up to Long Longer with water and fawn on her. Qin Feng closed his eyes. What the eye does not see, the heart does not grieve over. Recently, Qin Feng's comprehension of the title profound meaning had become more and more proficient. Ever since he comprehended the title fusion profound meaning, the power of Qin Feng's title extinction sword had increased day by day. Now that he was using the title extinction sword, Qin Feng no longer needed to accumulate power. With a casual slash, he could fuse the 6 tidal waves into one and slash out. This kind of power was stronger and more condensed than the power of the tidal waves alone. It was fast and slow in a single thought. It was very powerful. If he met that young emperor of the White Tiger race again, Qin Feng would only need 50 rounds to chop off his head. Yi Qinghua walked over. Her frown was filled with worry. What's wrong? Are there still no clues about senior sister? Qin Feng looked at her. After experiencing life and death, Yi Qinghua had matured even more. She was like a green peony after the rain, and her entire body was filled with an aura that was different from ordinary noble ladies. She was like a strong woman. She was brave, courageous, determined, and valiant. On the side, Lin Jiqiu and Hao Lianqing both expressed their interest in Yi Qinghua. However, Yi Qinghua did not show any interest in them. Instead, she was very interested in Qin Feng. Yi Qinghua nodded, then shook her head. Xiao Ling can feel that senior sister Xuelian's aura is nearby. However, the strange thing is that we can't find her position. It's like looking at flowers in a fog. This is indeed strange. Qin Feng frowned. Qin Feng was not unfamiliar with this situation. There were several possibilities for this situation. One was that this senior sister Xuelian had cultivated some kind of special technique, which was why she was able to set up a maze, making it impossible for others to see through her and track her down. The second possibility was that she had some kind of treasure that could confuse auras. The third possibility was that she had accidentally run to a special place that could conceal her aura. Qin Feng was about to speak when his expression suddenly changed. His tyrannical spiritual sense detected a huge aura that contained hostility rapidly approaching from several hundred feet away. This aura was faster than lightning, as if it was flashing rapidly in the shade of a tree under the sun. It was like a bolt of lightning. How dare you launch a sneak attack in broad daylight? Qin Feng looked over and relaxed in the next moment. The target of the sneak attack was not him. It was them. Qin Feng's eyes fell on Yi Quan and Lu Yuhan, who were showing off their affection beside a lone pine tree. Poochie! A cold light flashed, and a dark, sharp blade instantly cut open Yi Quan's neck. At the same time, it slashed towards the frightened Lu Yuhan. Showing off your love would kill you quickly. Looking at the two people showing off their love, the killer seemed to recall his own bitter experience. The weapon in his hand became more ruthless, and his killing intent soared. But in the next moment, the black-robed man's face changed. His body turned into a dark shadow and disappeared into the shade of the lone pine tree. With a loud bang, a sword light like a monstrous wave slashed through the air, cutting the lone pine tree in half. The black shadow flashed, moving at an extremely fast speed. In an instant, Shadow Escape covered a distance of several hundred feet, disappearing into the broken tree. In a flash, Qin Feng appeared beside Yi Quan and Lu Yuhan like a streak of light. Qin Feng glanced at Yi Quan. Yi Quan's neck was severed, and he had lost his life. Qin Feng shook his head. Just as he was about to leave, he suddenly felt a strong resentment staring at him. Qin Feng turned around, and his eyes fell on Lu Yuhan, who was filled with hatred. Is she blaming me for not saving her lover in time? Chapter 276. It's all your fault. If you weren't too slow, Yi Quan wouldn't have died. Although Lu Yuhan didn't say anything, Qin Feng could tell what she was thinking from her eyes. Qin Feng was a little angry but amused. Not only did this woman not want to repay him for saving her life, she even hated him. It was a classic example of repaying kindness with ingratitude. Qin Feng's long and narrow eyes narrowed. This was a hidden danger. With such a person in the team, there would be another unstable factor. Qin Feng didn't want to wait for the hidden danger to erupt before taking action. If you hate me, you can go to hell. Murderous intent flashed in Qin Feng's eyes. He looked at Lu Yuhan and grabbed her with one hand. Lu Yuhan couldn't even react before she was lifted up. A huge pressure came from her neck and Lu Yuhan's face turned red. Qin Feng was far more domineering than she had imagined. He wanted to kill her at the slightest disagreement. She had only revealed a little bit of hatred, but he had sensed it and wanted to eliminate her immediately. He was as decisive and ruthless as a 1,000-year-old monster. More than that, Lu Yuhan was resentful. Since this person was so powerful, why didn't he save Yi Quan and let him die? He was a hypocrite and a hypocrite. It was all his fault. If he wasn't too slow, Yi Quan wouldn't have died. Lu Yuhan's eyes were filled with hatred as she stared at Qin Feng. She wanted nothing more than to skin him alive. At this moment, Long Ling, and the others also noticed the commotion here. With a flash, Long Ling, took the lead to rush over. Qin Feng, what are you doing? Long Longer was puzzled and there was a hint of doubt and dissatisfaction in her eyes. Before Qin Feng could speak, Lu Yuhan was already overjoyed. She screamed like a crazy woman as if she had seen her savior. Senior Sister Long, you have to help me. Qin Feng is a spy. He colluded with assassins to kill senior brother Yi Quan. Long Longer, catch him. Long Longer's gaze fell on Qin Feng, and there was a hint of coldness and sternness in her eyes. Junior brother Qin Feng, can you let go of junior sister Lu? Qin Feng glanced at Long Longer in disdain. Was this woman really stupid, or was she pretending to be stupid? Qin Feng rejected her directly. No, anyone who goes against me must die. Crack. Qin Feng twisted his fingers and Lu Yuhan's eyes bulged. She stared at Qin Feng in disbelief. Even until her death, she couldn't understand how Qin Feng had dared to kill her. You dare to kill her? You dare to kill a fellow disciple? Long Ling Er's expression suddenly changed, and an enormous aura began to appear around her. Qin Feng sneered. His eyes were like an ancient giant beast as he glared at Long Longer. His eyes were cold and gloomy. Long Ling, are you out of your mind? How dare you attack me? I advise you not to act rashly. Otherwise, don't blame me for twisting your head off. Qin Feng smiled maliciously. An even more powerful aura surged. Under this aura, Long Longer's face changed drastically, and there was a trace of fear in her eyes. Qin Feng's gaze was cold as he stared at Long Ling. This woman was simply crazy. It was probably because these few days in Yiquan, Lu Yuhan had heard too much flattery and became arrogant, thinking that she could challenge him, Qin Feng. Long Longer looked around as if asking for help. However, everyone was silent. Everyone saw what happened just now. It was clearly Lu Yuhan who was being unreasonable. She was seeking her own death. She couldn't blame others. They all knew Long Longer's thoughts. She couldn't be ambitious and wanted to be the leader of this team. Usually, it was fine if they were close to her, but at this time, no one was willing to follow her. They all knew that without a doubt, Qin Feng was the one who could really shelter them from the wind and rain. Long Longer's gaze fell on Yi Qinghua, Jiang Binger, Wang Yu, and the other good sisters. However, what made her heart turn cold was that Yi Qinghua, Jiang Binger, and Wang Yu were all expressionless. They all looked at Qin Feng, obviously following Qin Feng's lead. On the side, even Lin Jiqiu and Hao Lianqing, who were originally in the team, chose to watch indifferently. Zhang Xian leaned behind a tree, looking as if he would ignore them even if they all died. It was obvious that he wasn't reliable. Moreover, Long Longer didn't know if it was an illusion, but she felt that this junior brother's gaze fell on her with a trace of sharp coldness. It was as if Qin Feng would attack her the next moment. At this time, Long Longer finally realized how terrifying the black-robed youth was. Silently, everyone here had been bribed by him. Morale is useful. Qin Feng was satisfied. Such a team was worthy of him sheltering them from the wind and rain and being a succor. If these people dared to show the slightest dissatisfaction with him, Qin Feng would definitely pick on them. Qin Feng was not a good person. Long Longer took a deep look at Qin Feng and turned to leave. Stop! Long Longer turned around and looked coldly at the black-robed youth with fluttering sleeves behind her. What else do you want? Qin Feng said indifferently as he flicked the blade of the spiritual sword in his hand. A cool light flashed and disappeared. I just want to tell you, don't try to play any tricks. I, Qin Feng, have tender feelings for the fairer sex, but my North Sea Divine Water sword won't recognize your beautiful face. A trace of anger flashed in Long Longer's eyes. She glanced coldly at Qin Feng and the others, then ran to the side alone to sulk. After this incident, the aura among the 8 people was a little strange. A day later, the 8 people appeared at the entrance of a gourd valley. This was a very strange place. It was at the foot of Zixia Peak. This was the entrance of a gourd valley. The surrounding was filled with white fog, and the mountains were hidden within the fog. Even Qin Feng, who was an expert with powerful 6 senses, could only see 10 meters ahead of him. What is this place? Why is it so strange? Even my spiritual sense is confused. It's like a natural maze. At the entrance of the valley, Yi Qinghua was a little hesitant. The seven-colored spiritual vine was giving her a warning of uneasiness. This place was unusual. Qin Feng looked at the gourd valley and sized up the surroundings. His eyes were a little strange. Combined with the surrounding terrain and the flow of spiritual qi in the air, Qin Feng judged that this was a maze. And it was a natural maze. I didn't expect there to be such a place in Skyscraper Ridge. Qin Feng's eyes flickered. At this moment, the origin of the azure sea, heaven and earth in his body suddenly sent a strange and strong summoning force. It was as if something in the valley was attracting the origin of the azure sea, heaven and earth, making it somewhat impatient. Qin Feng was very familiar with this feeling. When he entered the sacred mountain of the ape clan and saw the 10,000-year-old jade essence tree, the origin of the azure sea, heaven and earth, had sent this strange vibration. But it was definitely not as big as this. There was a high-level wood attribute spiritual object in the valley. Qin Feng's eyes lit up. It seems that this time, the opening of the azure sea heaven, one of the 5 directions heavens in the chaos, is settled. I just don't know what treasure is inside that actually caused the azure sea, heaven and earth to shake like this. This is the first update. There are 5 more updates. Chapter 277. Junior brother, are we going in? Yi Qinghua's gaze fell on the gourd valley. Her eyes were filled with worry. This place was too strange. It was very similar to the natural formations recorded in ancient books. Natural formations were also known as Xiantian formations. They were extremely rare. Some natural maze formations could even easily trap Sea of Reincarnation expert. Don't worry, it's just a maze formation. This kind of formation might be a death trap to others, but to me, it's like a fish entering the sea. Qin Feng smiled lightly. What a joke. If a demigod formation grandmaster was trapped by a natural maze formation, Qin Feng could find a piece of tofu to kill himself. Hearing this, Lin Jiqiu, Hao Lianqing, and the others were shocked. Could it be that this senior brother Qin Feng was also a mystic formation master? Long Linger's face was cold. When she heard Qin Feng's words, she was a little surprised. Mystic formation masters were too rare. Every formation Xian master was the precious treasure of some large factions. However, no matter how Long Linger looked at it, she felt that the black-robed youth was bragging. With a grudge in her heart, Long Linger didn't like Qin Feng. Yi Qinghua and Jiang Binger were quite convinced. If it wasn't for Qin Feng's 10,000 flowers mystic formation, they might have been hunted down. Let's go in and explore this gourd valley. Qin Feng took the lead and entered the gourd valley in his black robe. Yi Qinghua, Jiang Binger, Wang Yu, Lin Jiqiu, and Hao Lianqing followed closely behind. Zhang Xian's eyes moved slightly. After thinking for a moment, he also entered the gourd valley. Long Linger's expression changed. She didn't want to believe Qin Feng, but it wasn't safe to be alone outside. Moreover, there was an expert watching in the dark. It was very dangerous to fall behind. After a while, Long Linger stomped her feet and followed with a cold face. Just 100 breaths after Long Linger entered the gourd valley, a black figure rushed over from afar. After a few leaps, it landed in front of the gourd valley. Tong's tall and slender figure walked out from the thick fog. Her gaze swept across the surroundings as she frowned. What is this place? Why is the spiritual perception being suppressed so severely? Tong hesitated. Her sharp intuition told her that there was something strange up ahead. This was very similar to the natural formations recorded in ancient legacies. The elders in the clan had mentioned that it was very dangerous to rashly barge into such a natural formation. However, since the students of All Stars College dared to barge in, I, Tong, am not afraid of them. Tong did not want to fail at the final step. Moreover, it was rumored that places covered by natural formations usually had extremely precious spiritual objects. This was an opportunity. If one could obtain a natural spiritual object, one's cultivation might improve greatly. With a flicker of his silhouette, Shi Tong followed closely behind Qin Feng and the others, disappearing into the thick fog of the Gourd Valley. Not long after Qin Feng and the others entered the Gourd Valley. In the sea of flowers hundreds of miles away from Zixia Peak, there was a loud explosion, and a golden light shattered the void. Bang bang bang! With a series of rumbling sounds, an invisible wave of energy swept across the area within a radius of several thousand feet. The invisible wave of energy caused countless flowers to soar into the sky and explode into a rain of flowers. A golden light shot up into the sky from the center. Shi Wushuang's majestic body shot out, and a blazing flame burst out without restraint. The surrounding experts felt that the sky had brightened up. Qin Feng's thousand-flower god confusion formation had caused a lot of trouble for the heavenly lion race expert. In the thousand-flower god confusion formation, one's spiritual senses were in chaos and their six senses were obliterated. For the past few days, the heavenly lion race experts felt as though they were living in a dark sea. They swam and swam in the sea, but they could not swim ashore. A few heavenly lion race experts were on the verge of madness. Mental collapse. Complete madness. Shi Wushuang opened his vertical eye, and the vertical eye at the center of his brows slowly closed. A murderous aura surged from his body. His anger was overflowing. Aggrieved, it was too aggrieved. He had fallen into a trap without even seeing the person. He had been suffering for the past few days, and he had tried countless ways to get out of the Xian formation, but to no avail. Shi Wushuang's lungs were about to explode. With his pride, when had he ever suffered such a huge loss? If this were to spread as the heavenly lion imperial family, he would be utterly discredited. Preposterous, preposterous. There are lowly two-legged sheep here. The silver-haired girl, Shi Han, consoled Shi Wushuang. Big brother Shi, it's not our fault this time. The people from All Stars College are too cunning. This is a formation, and it's impossible to guard against it. Even the elders wouldn't dare to say that they would come out unscathed in the face of this formation. Although she consoled Shi Wushuang, a trace of hesitation flashed across Shi Han's beautiful face. This time, there was clearly a Xian formation master among the group of All Stars College experts that were chasing them. Shi Han was extremely fearful of Xian formation masters. Xian formation masters were like moving fortresses, and this kind of hard bone was extremely hard to chew. However, she couldn't persuade Shi Wushuang to give up. Moreover, Shi Han also knew that with Shi Wushuang's pride, he definitely wouldn't let this matter rest after suffering such a huge loss. Chase. It doesn't matter if he is a Xian formation master or not. Since he dares to provoke me, Shi Wushuang, I will definitely tear him into pieces. After a series of angry roars, Shi Wushuang snorted coldly. His figure turned into a golden light and chased after Qin Feng and the others. Shi Wushuang's killing intent was unbearable, and he only wanted to kill people to vent this evil fire. Shi Han was helpless, and her eyes revealed a trace of worry. Shi Han had a feeling that something bad was about to happen. After a slight hesitation, Shi Han saw that everyone was chasing after them. She flew to the side of a rock and waved her hand, and a few streaks of pure and holy light true power formed a very special imprint on the side of the rock. Light superior Sirius Sirius. Once the demon temple experts found this imprint, they would chase after them. Shi Han muttered to herself. Big brother Shi, don't blame Shi Han. This is also for your safety. Although your aptitude is exceptional, and you have inherited the bloodline of the three-eyed lion emperor, you still haven't subdued the instincts in your bloodline. You can't completely refine your bloodline and become one with yourself. That Xian formation master is cunning and ruthless, and he is very difficult to deal with. One more person means one more power. Shi Han can't stop you from taking revenge, but she also can't put you in danger. Shere Han cultivated the Light Heavenly Lion royal family's inherited secret technique, the Light Wisdom Fundamental Sutra. This technique had a lot of elaboration on the path of prophecy. Shere Han was now able to foresee danger. Shere Han left the imprint and immediately left. The entrance of the gourd valley was small, but the stomach was big. The area inside was vast. Following Qin Feng, the group turned here and there and gradually went deep into the interior of the gourd valley. This natural maze was abnormally complicated. If it wasn't for Qin Feng, an array grandmaster, ordinary array grandmasters wouldn't be able to enter this maze valley. Why are there so many gourd vines here? Lin Jiqiu muttered. She excitedly took out a small yellow gourd. Fresh spirit energy flowed on the gourd. The gourd was sparkling, translucent, and overflowing with colors. This was a spirit gourd plucked from a 1,000-year-old gourd vine. It was already a half-spirit item, and was best used to store fine wine and spirit pills. Moreover, it could also nurture spirit wine and pills. Qin Feng looked up and saw clusters of green vines crawling all over the surrounding mountain walls. A dense aura of vitality flowed. This place was filled with gourd vines. Entering this valley was like entering the ancestral land of the gourd. Gourd roots were everywhere. Among the green leaves, countless small emerald green gourds swayed among the spirit vines. It was very pleasing. These gourds were full of vitality and abnormally lush. However, it was still extremely rare to see a 1,000-year-old gourd root. Lin Jiqiu's eyes were sharp, so she picked up a big bargain. The others looked envious. If this treasure was placed in All Stars College, it would be worth at least 100 points. If it was nurtured well, it might be able to evolve into a spirit item. I found it. Senior Sister Xuelian seems to be over there. Suddenly Yi Qinghua spoke. She pointed ahead. It was a stone forest area with dense fog. This is the second update. The third, fourth, and fifth updates are all in the afternoon. The sixth update is in the evening. Chapter 278. Following Yi Qinghua's gaze, Qin Feng's eyes landed on the stone forest. This was the place with the densest spirit qi in the entire valley. This was the core of the maze formation. Generally speaking, the core of a natural formation would be guarded by a spirit object. The spirit object in such a huge gourd cave must be extraordinary. This senior sister Xuelian is really lucky. Qin Feng sighed softly. This senior sister Xuelian was able to break into such a powerful natural formation and even enter the core of the formation unscathed. This kind of luck could only be said to be a fortuitous encounter. When luck came, it could not be stopped. Junior brother, should we go in and explore? Yi Qinghua's gaze fell on the central stone forest. Yi Qinghua could also see that this was the core of the natural maze formation. It was very likely that there was an extremely rare spirit object here. Lin Jiqiu, Hao Lianqing, and the others also looked at Qin Feng with excitement. Without Qin Feng, this place would be a land of death. No one would dare to enter. However, with Qin Feng as their backer, this place would become their treasure-hunting paradise. Not only were they not afraid of the core of the natural formation, but they also wanted to take a look and broaden their horizons. Long Ling stood 10 feet away and stared at Qin Feng with bright eyes. You guys don't need to go in. Just stay here. This stone forest is the core of the natural maze. There might be some unpredictable dangers. When the time comes, I may not be able to guarantee your safety. You guys should stay outside. Qin Feng's gaze fell on the surroundings and saw that everyone's expressions were changing. Qin Feng said, there should be some hidden 1,000-year-old gourd vines or even 1,000-year-old gourd root. If you guys have the opportunity, you can go look for it. However, don't wander around carelessly. Otherwise, if you get caught in the formation, it might be very troublesome. A 1,000-year-old gourd spirit root was extremely precious. However, if they could find one that was more than a few thousand years old, they would be rich. If a gourd spirit root could be brought back to All Stars College and planted in the Spirit Mountain blessed land, it could be said to be an endless gold mine. A bottle gourd produced by a 1,000-year-old bottle gourd was a treasure of heaven and earth. It possessed all kinds of inconceivable divine abilities. It could swallow and spit out flames, blow out divine wind, poisonous sand, or control lightning. This was a rare treasure of heaven and earth. Even some great figures' eyes would go red when they saw it, and they would take action to fight over it. If a 1,000-year-old gourd spirit root could produce such a treasure endlessly, he would be rich if he could find such a treasure. If he could obtain such a gourd, he would be able to raise his strength by several levels. If he ran into the experts of the Demon Temple, he would be able to obtain more treasures. Lin Jiqiu, Hao Lianqing, and even Yi Qinghua were excited. The few of them gave up on the idea of following Qin Feng into the stone forest. Finding treasures was the most important thing. The group of people spread out and began to search for opportunities and try their luck. Even Zhang Xian made a rare move. Humph, the more this Qin Feng talks like this, the more suspicious this stone forest is. Maybe the most precious treasure here is in the stone forest. Damn it, these people were moved by his words and lost the watermelon for the sesame seed. Long Ling stared at Qin Feng. She was different from the others. She instinctively felt that Qin Feng was sending everyone away so that he could search for treasures by himself. Long Ling was a bit unwilling, but she didn't dare to follow Qin Feng alone. Qin Feng's strength was too tyrannical, and he was proficient in formations. This place was Qin Feng's world. Qin Feng's eyes swept over and focused on Long Ling-er's face for a moment. With just a glance, Qin Feng guessed most of her thoughts. Qin Feng sneered. This woman was truly greedy. If it wasn't for Qin Feng, they wouldn't even be able to enter. Now, she still wanted to compete with him for treasures. Qin Feng turned around and walked into the stone forest. As soon as Qin Feng entered the stone forest, it was as if he had entered a giant chessboard. The surroundings were complicated, and the white fog made it impossible to see the sun. Qin Feng walked around. After 2 hours, he appeared at the place where he had just entered the stone forest. Interesting. What a complicated maze, but it won't be difficult for me. After contemplating for a moment, Qin Feng took a step forward. After that, he retreated 2 steps before taking another 3 steps forward. The length of each step was the same, not an inch more nor an inch less. After that, he took a step forward, and with just a single step, the heavens and earth actually changed. All the fog dissipated as a bluestone path appeared before his eyes. With a smile on his face, Qin Feng stepped on the bluestone and walked down the path. Gradually, a towering stone forest appeared in front of him. A gigantic gourd vine that was as thick as a 1,000-year-old tree appeared in front of him. This gourd vine's stem was like a horned dragon. It was attached to a towering stone pillar, and its leaves were swaying in the wind. The leaves were the size of lotus leaves. It vaguely reached into the clouds. The roots are so thick. How old is it? Qin Feng was stunned. This gourd vine was too thick, and its roots seemed to reach into the sky. Qin Feng gulped. This was a real gourd root. He was right. There was a 1,000-year-old gourd spirit root here. Looking at the growth of the gourd vine, it should be at least 2,000 years old. I'm rich. I'm rich this time. If I can get 1 or 2 spirit gourds, I won't have to worry about being surrounded by those demon temple geniuses. Qin Feng jumped up. Using the green leaves of the gourd vine, Qin Feng's body shot out like an arrow, and a black shadow rushed up to the stone pillar. After an hour, a black light flashed, and a figure rushed down from the stone pillar. There's nothing. Qin Feng's face turned gloomy as he looked at this 1,000-year-old gourd vine. There were no spirit gourds on this gourd vine as he had expected. There were only a few small green gourds. These gourds had not matured and were not of much use. Could it be that these spirit gourds were eaten by insects before they matured? Guessing in his heart, Qin Feng felt helpless. Qin Feng knew that some geniuses were often accompanied by calamities because of the good fortune of heaven and earth. This gourd spirit root had outstanding spirit roots, so it was easy to attract mutated insects to eat it. This spirit gourd was the weakest before it matured. Only when it matured would it have the texture of diamond and be supported by the power of heaven and earth. It would have incredible divine powers. Qin Feng looked at this gourd spirit root and felt a little envious. However, there was no life in the Jade Sea heaven and earth, so this gourd spirit root could not be transplanted. Qin Feng continued forward. After a few minutes, Qin Feng encountered a second gourd spirit root. This gourd spirit root was even thicker and its veins were plump. It seemed to be even older. However, Qin Feng still couldn't find anything even after searching it once. Qin Feng wrung his hands and paused for a moment before continuing to explore. After 100 steps, Qin Feng's eyes lit up as he saw a 10 feet tall gourd spirit root. This gourd spirit root was emerald green like agate, and its leaf veins emitted a round spirit light. Compared to the previous two, it looked very petite. At a glance, one could tell that it was not old, at most 2,000 years old. However, Qin Feng knew at a glance that this gourd spirit root was of a higher quality than the previous two. It was a mutated gourd spirit root. It was an innate spirit root, not an acquired one. Qin Feng just raised his head and saw a big blue gourd in the fat green leaves of the spirit vine above his head. This gourd glowed with spirit light and swayed with the wind. It was very pleasing. This is the third update. There are still 3 more updates. Chapter 279. Qin Feng originally thought that this spiritual gourd might have all been taken away by senior sister Xuelian, whom he had never met. Unexpectedly, there was a glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel. Looking at the swaying blue gourd on this strange gourd spirit root, Qin Feng revealed a slightly happy expression. He flew up and easily plucked this mature blue gourd spirit root. This spiritual gourd was cold to the touch, like a cold jade. As the gourd left the spiritual vine, Qin Feng was surprised to see that this blue spiritual gourd gradually changed. The blue color gradually faded, and wisps of cold air surged up, and it turned into an ice crystal-like gourd. This was an ice-sealed gourd. Rubbing the small gourd's crystal texture, Qin Feng seemed to see the color of ice and snow, as if the essence of ancient glaciers was contained in it. Shocked, Qin Feng's heart took a breath of cold air. Qin Feng had an intuition that if he opened the mouth of the gourd, he would be able to erupt with unimaginable power. Thousands of miles of ice, thousands of miles of snow. It's really a good treasure. With fiery eyes, Qin Feng fondly stroked this small gourd. This ice-sealed gourd was definitely an extremely rare treasure of heaven and earth. He casually put this treasure gourd into the Azure Sea world. There was a cold soul spirit spring in the Azure Sea world. If this ice-sealed gourd was placed in the cold soul spirit spring for a period of time, its power might increase to another level. At this moment, this strange gourd spiritual vine was already empty. A spiritual root only had one spiritual gourd. This item was truly extremely precious. Raising his head, Qin Feng glanced at this gourd spiritual root with fiery eyes. Qin Feng was extremely regretful. If possible, Qin Feng really wanted to transplant this treasure. It's a pity that in the Chaos 5 Directions sky, only the Azure Sea world and the Azure Wood world are born. Only when the Azure Wood world is born will there be vitality in the world and be able to accommodate living creatures. Qin Feng continued to walk forward. In the stone forest, stone pillars stood in great numbers, looking very empty and barren. After wandering in this vast stone forest for 4 hours, Qin Feng encountered several hundred-year-old gourd vines one after another. He also saw a 1,000-year-old gourd vine. This 1,000-year-old gourd vine bore many spiritual gourds. Qin Feng picked a few and stored them. After an hour, Qin Feng, who was searching towards the depths of the stone forest, suddenly felt that the spiritual energy in front of him was rich. At the same time, the origin of the Azure Sea world trembled more and more. It seems that the formation I is in front. Qin Feng's eyes lit up as he quickly headed in the direction of the quaking origin source. His speed was even faster than lightning. After dozens of breaths, a huge spiritual spring appeared before Qin's eyes. This was actually another spiritual spring. Qin Feng was slightly taken aback. This was the fourth spirit spring he had seen. The first spring was in the Life Jade Glacier. It was condensed from ice essence, which was the Frigid Soul spiritual spring. This Frigid Soul spiritual spring was forcibly absorbed into the Azure Sea world by Qin Feng and opened it. The second spring was on the Scarlet Sky Peak. It was an earth vein spring that contained the essence of the earth vein. The Scarlet Sky Peak's cave-guarding spirit item, the Emerald Water Golden Lotus, was rooted in this spiritual spring. This spiritual spring couldn't be touched. It was the public property of All Stars College. The third spring was the Seven Stars Dragon Spring, which was formed from countless years of dragon chi essence in the True Dragon's ancient cave. This spiritual spring was occupied by the True Dragon Divine Wood. It was the True Dragon Divine Wood's exclusive property. However, while the True Dragon Divine Wood was weak, Qin Feng ruthlessly stole over 100 tons. The one in front of him was the fourth spirit spring that Qin Feng had seen. This spiritual spring was a little different. Qin Feng's eyes were burning as he stared fixedly at the flowing spiritual spring. The color was as green as jade and as clear as red jade. This was clearly the spring of life recorded in the ancient book. Qin Feng's body trembled as he sucked in a breath of air. Qin Feng didn't expect this gourd valley to have such a rare treasure. The rich life force essence of this spring was almost tangible. This spring of life was a true healing spring, capable of healing the dead and reviving the bones. Move it, move it. Qin Feng's eyes grew brighter and brighter. Unknowingly, he walked closer. Qin Feng didn't notice that several zhang away, there was a pile of clothes piled up on a rock beside the spring. Splash! Splash! Suddenly, there was the sound of flowing water. Qin Feng's gaze followed the sound and saw black hair cascading down like a waterfall. A naked mermaid appeared in front of him. Her plump snow-white skin moved up and down with the splashes of water. Her tall and exquisite figure drew out an exaggerated curve. Most importantly, Qin Feng followed her gaze and looked down. White, that trace of red, the life of an inch of grass, rumble. Qin Feng's blood rushed to his head. Qin Feng forcibly operated the art of mixed stars to refine the blood on his nose. This scene was too erotic. Qin Feng's eyes burned with flames, but soon Qin Feng had a strange feeling. Where have I seen this woman before? Perhaps she didn't expect someone to be able to barge into this place. The beautiful woman was slightly startled. In the next moment, her long, shapely eyebrows slowly rose and a cold light appeared in her phoenix eyes. "It's you again." Taking a closer look, the beautiful woman's expression suddenly became strange. "It's you." The corner of Qin Feng's mouth twitched and a trace of embarrassment appeared in his eyes. Qin Feng also recognized the beautiful woman bathing in the spring of life. This woman was the guardian of the seventh palace in the Snow Domain trial, Venerable Snow Lotus. Could it be that Venerable Snow Lotus was the previous Azure Dragon's first seat, Senior Sister Snow Lotus? This seemed to be the second time he had seen this senior sister naked. The beautiful woman gritted her teeth. "Qin Feng, it's you again, you peeping Tom." Qin Feng smiled embarrassedly and quickly said, "It's a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Senior Sister Snow Lotus, this is a coincidence." After saying that, Qin Feng's eyes moved slightly and quietly glanced at this senior sister's exquisite and perfect curves in the spring. What a pair of long legs, what a fair skin! This figure is comparable to that of my future wife. I wonder how it feels to touch. Qin Feng praised in his heart. The beautiful woman in white by the river appeared in his mind, and some dirty thoughts appeared. You're still looking. Seeing Qin Feng's extremely obscure eyes, Snow Lotus's pretty face turned pale. Only now did she notice that she was naked. A burst of shame and anger rose from her heart. With a loud bang, thousands of water curtains bloomed in the spring of life, forming a wall of water. A short while later, a tall, graceful, and beautiful figure appeared by the spring. She was wearing a white palace dress, elegant and dignified with a hint of charm after taking a bath. Her beautiful face was slightly angry. The beauty waved her white hand, and in the next moment, countless snow lotus petals enveloped Qin Feng from all directions. Thousands of petals drifted down, and each petal was like the world's most terrifying and sharp blade, enough to cut through swords and sabers. Qin Feng's body shook. He wanted to dodge, but in the next moment, he froze in his steps. He thought to himself, "Well, this senior sister Snow Lotus is angry, so I won't dodge. There's no harm in letting her vent her anger. After all, I've taken advantage of her." Standing in the middle of the petals, Qin Feng did not dodge and let the thousands of petals bombard him. Ding ding dang dang! Countless petals fell on Qin Feng's body and made the sound of metal clashing. The thousands of petals could not hurt Qin Feng at all. However, Qin Feng didn't notice that as the 10,000 flower petals bombarded his body, his clothes were completely destroyed. His naked body was thus exposed in front of the snow lotuses. Shameless! There are still 2 more chapters. This is considered a catch-up. The 9th and 10th chapters will be added at night. Chapter 280. Shameless asshole! Shuo-Yan's cheeks flushed red. She clenched her teeth and resisted the urge to go berserk. She didn't know why that ugly thing kept appearing in front of her. Shuo-Yan's chest heaved up and down. She had the urge to beat him up. His clothes were destroyed. Seeing Shuo-Yan's flustered and exasperated look, Qin Feng woke up from his dream. No wonder he felt cold all over. Qin Feng quickly took out a set of clothes from the Jade Sea Heaven and Earth. Cough cough. After a moment, Qin Feng laughed dryly. Shuo-Yan turned around and glared at the laughing black-robed youth. She was about to make a move. Qin Feng quickly stopped her. "Senior sister Shuo-Yan, please wait. I have something to say." Shuo-Yan's face was cold. Her raised arm froze in midair. She bit her lips and snorted. "Stupid asshole, what else do you have to say?" Shuo-Yan coldly stared at the black-robed youth. Many thoughts flashed through her mind. Ever since she saw his body, Shuo-Yan had a very complicated feeling. Her first thought was to teach this brat a lesson. So after knowing that Qin Feng was participating in the Hidden Dragon Points competition, Shuo-Yan had always wanted to find Qin Feng. But she never thought that the next time she saw Qin Feng would be in such a situation. Also, Qin Feng's strength shocked her. Half a year ago, Qin Feng's strength was only at the 7th level of the martial path. At that time, Qin Feng gave her the feeling that he was just an ant. But now, he gave her an abnormally strong feeling. He was actually able to faintly share the limelight with her and be on par with her. Shuo-Yan's gaze fell on the black-robed youth. Shuo-Yan knew some secret techniques that could see through a martial artist. Shuo-Yan quietly used the secret technique. But when she used her secret art to spy on Qin Feng, she only felt that he was like a terrifying primordial star in the Milky Way. The light he emitted was as vast as the Milky Way. That kind of power was vast and mighty, like the waves of the vast ocean, causing her heart to tremble. The surging star true power was like a raging river. How can there be such tyrannical true power? Shuo-Yan's expression did not change, but her heart was trembling violently. What's going on? He's obviously only at the 13th heavenly layer of the martial Tao. How can he have such tyrannical star true power? This kind of terrifying true power, even I can't compare to it. Shuo-yen clearly knew how many fortuitous encounters she had gone through in order to have such a body of true power. What she practiced was the peak of the foundation establishment cultivation method, and had also broken through to the pulse condensation stage at the 13th heavenly layer. And this time, he even encountered the spring of life, which increased his star true power by 3 to 4 times. The quality of his true power was also cleansed by the spring of life, greatly increasing. However, such terrifying true power was still not comparable to Qin Feng, who was at the 13th heavenly layer of the martial way. This senior sister Shuo-yen seems to have had a fortuitous encounter too. Her strength is so strong, far stronger than Long Ling. Senior sister Ye's strength is not inferior to mine at all. While Shuo-yen was sizing up Qin Feng was also using a secret technique to pry into this senior sister Shuo-yen's strength. In Qin Feng's eyes, Shuo-yen was like a cold and proud star. An extremely rich life force flowed around her, and her entire body seemed to be condensed from life essence. Her true power was pure and flawless, and had already reached the peak of high grade. Normal true power could not reach such a level. If the quality of true power was divided into several grades, from low to high, it could be divided into the following grades: normal, pure, flawless, and heavenly Tao. This senior sister Shuo-yen's true power had definitely reached the peak of flawless. Her true power flowed without a trace of impurity, as pure as ice and snow. With a thought, her strength was like a Vajra true dragon. Qin Feng guessed that this might be related to the spring of life. After being cleansed by the spring of life, the quality of her true power had already risen to a limit. She was about to break through to the heavenly Tao layer. It must be known that only those who had refined the extreme Tao heaven and earth seed and broke through to the pulse condensation stage would be able to condense true power of such quality. At the same level, the higher the quality of one's true power, the greater the advantage. If Shuo-yen only had pure true power at this moment, Qin Feng would be able to completely suppress her in one strike. A lower quality true power, in front of a higher quality true power, would not be able to withstand a single blow. It would be like a piece of paper in front of a Vajra true power, easily pierced through. Obviously, Shuo-yen also saw this point. She was abnormally afraid of Qin Feng, which was why she did not make a move. Otherwise, she would have taught Qin Feng a lesson. While using a secret technique to spy, Qin Feng said with a smile on his face, "Senior sister Shuo-yen, this time we have a misunderstanding. This time, I came here with senior sister Yi Qinghua to pursue your aura. It was just that when we entered this place, we did not notice senior sister bathing here, so we were a bit rash. However, it was purely an unintentional mistake." Junior sister Yi Qinghua also came. Shuo-yen's expression changed. For the time being, she believed Qin Feng's excuse. Of course, if Qin Feng's strength was too weak, Shuo-yen would not mind beating him up before talking. However, Qin Feng's strength was too strong now. She might not be able to gain the upper hand in a fight. If she really insisted, she might even be taken advantage of by Qin Feng. Of course, senior sister Yi is just outside the stone forest. Senior sister can verify it. As Qin Feng spoke, his gaze fell on the spring of life. This spring of life was a good thing. Not only could it purify the body and nourish the vitality, it could also cleanse the bones and increase the quality of true power. Shuo-yen followed Qin Feng's gaze and her eyes moved. "Junior brother Qin Feng, could it be that you also have your eyes on this spirit spring? However, this item already belongs to senior sister. Junior brother, you better not have any ideas." "Senior sister, you are wrong. Treasures of heaven and earth are nurtured by the heavens and earth. They do not have an owner. Those who are virtuous can obtain them." Qin Feng shook his head and refuted. "Furthermore, this spirit spring is rooted here. Senior sister cannot move it away, or even collect it. How can it be yours? Xuelian sneered. Junior brother, you are twisting words and forcing logic. It is true that those who are virtuous can obtain it, but it is always about first come first serve. Your senior sister, I, have been cultivating here for more than half a month. This item was first discovered by me. Naturally, it belongs to me. As for the latter part, that is nonsense. This spirit spring is rooted in the earth veins and uses the essence of heaven and earth as nourishment. It is smelted and nurtured into a pool. How can it be moved? Qin Feng chuckled. Whether it can be moved or not, senior sister, you have the final say. After saying that, Qin Feng glanced at Xuelian. He rolled his eyes and said, Senior sister, why don't the two of us make a bet? If I can move this spirit spring, this item will belong to me. How about that? Xuelian sneered. What if you can't move it? Qin Feng said. If I can't move it, I will leave immediately. Xuelian looked at Qin Feng suspiciously. Xuelian was hesitant. Qin Feng looked too calm. He seemed to be making a solemn vow. Could it be that there was a trap? However, Xuelian instinctively felt that it was impossible. Although this spirit spring seemed to be in the earth veins, it was actually nurtured by heaven and earth and rooted in the depths of space. The pool in the middle of the stone forest was just a reflection. In fact, this spirit spring of life was hidden in the depths of space. Even if Qin Feng could use his magical power to dig out a section of the earth, it was impossible to move this spirit spring. But this kid is so cunning. I'm afraid there is really a problem. Xuelian actually didn't want to bet at all. However, Qin Feng's strength was tyrannical. If she didn't bet, Qin Feng wouldn't give up. Xuelian thought about it and still believed that Qin Feng couldn't move the spirit spring. She immediately nodded and said, Okay, I agree to your request. Qin Feng was overjoyed. So, it's a deal. A smile appeared on Qin Feng's face. His smile was like a little fox that had stolen a chicken. Looking at the sly smile on Qin Feng's face, Xuelian had an extremely bad feeling. My hand hurts. I've written too much. The speed has slowed down. The 6th update is around 12 o'clock. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.